truth is out. How will Lexi and Chaz react to knowing they've both been dating the same man who they both promised they wouldn't? Trouble in Emmerdale tonight at 7.
Good morning. There will be treacherous conditions on the roads in parts of Britain as several centimetres of snow are expected to settle.
Disruption too on the railways, although it's not the weather but continuing delays to engineering works that's behind the trouble on the tracks.
And in chilly conditions last night, Newcastle and Liverpool slipped up, so it's still shaky for Big Sam. That's what we're talking about on the News Hour today. It's Thursday, the 3rd of January, 2008.
Hello, good morning from me. You're watching the News Hour. It's just gone 6 o'clock. Also on the programme today, Sue Jamieson has travelled to Kenya for us to report on the latest violence as Nairobi prepares for a mass demonstration.
And how much do you know about the candidates bidding to become the next president of the United States? We're live to Iowa in America as the presidential race proper gets underway. We'll tell you how that vote could have implications for our future.
Yes, and we'll meet three sisters who made the tough decision to have double mastectomies to rule out a family risk of breast cancer.
But first, let's get today's weather. Good morning, Claire.
Good morning. Well, today is going to be bitterly cold wherever you are. Now, if you live in the west, particularly Northern Ireland and Western Scotland, perhaps even northwest England, you'll be seeing some lovely sunshine. It's not going to help the temperatures at all, though. And then to the east and to the south, that's where the conditions are pretty awful. Even this morning, we're seeing snow showers move in across central and eastern areas of Scotland and northeast England, anywhere down towards the Humber Wash area. Currently, we're seeing an area of cloud and rain slowly move its way northwards as it hits the cold air through the morning into the afternoon. We are likely to see some snow here. Elsewhere then, as you can see, temperatures really struggling. 3 or 4 at the very highest, but struggling to get above freezing across much of central and southern parts of the country. Gloria.
Claire. The top story this morning, drivers are being advised to prepare for hazardous conditions this morning with snow and freezing temperatures forecast for much of the country. The Highways Agency is preparing a fleet of gritters to treat motorways and A roads. Rachel Harrison is in Durham city centre for us. Rachel, what's it like where you are?
Yes, good morning, Gloria. Well, I've actually driven from Manchester and I've seen the first snow of 2008 in parts of Leeds and coming through Darlington. And we've seen a light dusting here in Durham, but as the day goes on, we're expecting it to get far worse. Large parts of the country are going to be affected, and the gritters have been out in force overnight in southwest of England, the southeast of England, up to Lincolnshire and anywhere north of the Wash right up to Scotland. Now, we're being told we're going to have around 10 centimetres of snow in the higher areas of the country and around 2 to 4 in some of the low-lying areas. But the Highways Agency is warning people that if you're going out today to take extra flasks, blankets, clothing, just in case you got caught if you're going to the more remote parts of the country. But as I say, it's not going to be too bad as you're going into the commute into work, but it will get worse during the day. And if you're a child that's off school at the moment, the good news is you're going to have some snow. The bad news is the snowy spell is only going to be for around 24 hours, so enjoy it while you can.
Stay warm, Rachel. Thanks very much.
Let's catch up on the rest of the news. Here's Priya.
Thanks, John. Good morning. In Kenya, the opposition leader has insisted that a banned march will go ahead today, despite concerns it could lead to further violence. 1 million protesters are expected to rally in the capital, Nairobi. Hundreds of people have died in the Troubles following the re-election of President Kibaki last week. The Foreign Office has warned against all non-essential travel to the country. The rail regulator says it's launching an urgent investigation into the engineering delays on the West Coast Main Line, which threatened to disrupt commuter travel again this morning. Network Rail has admitted a shortage of staff is to blame for the problems and may now be fined. Well, Jackie Kabler is at Birmingham International Station for us this morning. Jackie.
Good morning. Yes, Virgin Trains have advised their passengers not to travel again today. They've described the whole thing as a fiasco, very badly affected by it. Of course, what it's due to, just as a reminder, is these engineering works which have overrun now for the 4th successive day on the West Coast Main Line, basically closing an area of track between Coventry, Northampton and Milton Keynes, and that has caused huge knock-on effects. Passengers yesterday describing nightmare journeys extended by 2 to 3 hours in some cases, many people being transferred to buses and no trains at at all in many parts of the country, and it really is going to be a similar picture today. Network Rail say it's down to a shortage of specialist staff. They have apologised, but they don't seem able to tell us when the trains will be back to normal. The rail regulator has launched an investigation, and Network Rail could face a hefty fine over this, as well as the closure yesterday of Liverpool Street Station in London, again due to overrunning engineering works. Meanwhile, this issue is going to be raised in Parliament as a matter of urgency next Monday when they return from their Christmas break. Labour MP Louise Ellman demanding an explanation and an apology to the thousands and thousands of people affected by this. Network Rail are refusing to comment on reports that it could be next Monday, Priya, before things get back to normal.
Jackie, thank you. The missing data scandal may be much worse than the government's admitted, according to a group of MPs. A report by the Commons Justice Committee warns that the massive security breach at Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs wasn't an isolated case, and it's calling for government departments to be held criminally responsible for data protection breaches. The record price of oil, now trading at $100 a barrel, means that UK motorists are to face the highest ever prices at the pump. Filling a typical 50-litre tank now costs £7.36 more than a year ago. That's according to the AA. The race for the White House begins today in the American state of Iowa. Voters there will decide which candidates from the Republican and Democratic parties they want to run for US president. Well, Sarah Moore is in the state capital of Iowa, Des Moines, for us this morning. Morning, Sarah.
Morning, Priya. It's certainly an important job. The President of the United States of America, George W. Bush, will step down in November, and the race for his replacement is on. All eyes are on Iowa. Today we'll get the first indication of who that could be. Voters in the state will go to a caucus where they'll have their say on who they want running for president. Now, the Democrat frontrunner is former First Lady Hillary Clinton. She's favourite in the polls. She says her time in the White House with her husband Bill gives her the experience for the job. But she's neck and neck in some polls with a younger, fresher candidate, Barack Obama. Now, Barack Obama made his decision to run last February. He says that he's young, he's got a fresh approach to this. He's certainly been campaigning tirelessly over that time. But the main problem the candidates have is actually getting the voters out to vote. They're going to extraordinary measures to do that, shoveling snow from people's driveways and providing babysitting services so parents can go and vote. Now, the candidates, main candidates for the Republican Party expected to win as either Mike Huckabee or Mitt Romney. They're favourites in Iowa, but the favourite nationally is former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani, but he's not concentrating on Iowa, he's concentrating in polls in other states.
Lots going on. Thank you, Sarah. Look what's on our website this morning. Discover the top 10 overseas property hotspots for 2008. Are you happy with your body shape? Take part in our New Year lifestyle survey. And we reveal what you're most likely to leave in a hotel room. All that and more on the website gm.tv. It's now just coming up to 8 minutes past 6. Back to Gloria and John.
Thanks very much, Dee. Priya, let's take a look at the morning papers. The Mirror highlights the tragic case of a guy who went out to look for his dog and was murdered by youngsters allegedly high on vodka. The Daily Mail, pay mum to look after the children. Parents should get tax breaks to help them bring up their children, according to Gordon Brown's researchers. Daily Express says that millions of householders could be hammered with an extra £140 a year on their council tax bills. The Sun highlights the case of Joey Barton, the Newcastle United footballer who's currently in custody, saying that he's crying himself to sleep while he's on remand. And on the front page of the Daily Star, Save Our Rovers. That's a follow-up to their piece yesterday saying the Rovers' return is going to close.
Look at the broadsheets now. The Independent has an in-depth look at all the candidates who want to be the next president of the United States. The Daily Telegraph looks at GPs urging millions hit by that vomiting bug to stay at home. We've certainly had bouts of it in our office. I'm sure you may have too. The Times talks about the impact that the high price of oil may have on the rest of our economy. And The Guardian, the only newspaper to splash their front page with what's happening in Kenya. Murder of the children who sought sanctuary in church. And we stay with that subject now as a mass demonstration is expected to go ahead in Nairobi today despite a government banning it. Meanwhile, foreign nationals are continuing to leave Kenya following violence in the country. Hundreds have already died. On the line now is Phil Thomas from the charity Girl, which is based in Nairobi. good morning to you.
Good morning.
Could you explain what your personal situation, what's your daily life like?
Okay, well, there's been relative calm in more affluent residential areas the last few days, so we've managed to get ample supplies in. So basically, myself and all my colleagues are just ready to stay at home with locked doors for the next few days to see what happens.
Would you like to leave the country?
Well, our plan is we've got a contingency plan we're in the process of trying to secure flights out on the weekend after after seeing what happens over the next few days. If we are able to travel to the airport and we feel we still need to, then we will.
And what's your hunch? If this demonstration does take place, can you see the flames being fueled even further?
It's very worrying at the moment. We don't know what's going to happen the next few days. With this demonstration today, where the government has abandoned it and the opposition leaders are still mobilising everybody. So nobody's sure at all of what the outcome is going to be. And the ethnic tension, the attacks from one ethnic group affiliated from one side and the attack on the other side is still increasing. So it's quite a worrying situation.
Well, we hope you stay safe and we thank you for talking to us this morning.
Time now 11 minutes past 6, time for some sport, and Sam Allardyce, the Newcastle United manager, has admitted that he's under mounting pressure following their defeat last night to Manchester City, reflecting the headlines this morning. Is that the sack you're looking at, Sam, the headline in the Mirror and in the Daily Mail? Sam's agony, joined now by Paul Elliott, former Chelsea and Charlton star, to discuss that match and others. I mean, will they sack Sam, do you think, or will they wait until the outcome of the game against Stoke City, their FA Cup game on Saturday?
I think that seems more probable. I mean, ultimately, John is in the results business. However, their form has not been good. 3 defeats back-to-back, only a possible 1 point in the last 12. Not playing particularly well. Great, massive expectation by the Geordie faithful. But they must give him time. Patience is key. And all the great managers, John, they've gone through their turbulence. And the board, the chairman, the owners, they've stuck by him. And I hope that's applicable in this case.
Well, they all needed a lot of patience last night when they faced Manchester City. I'm allowed to smirk a little bit, I suppose. Who won 2-0. These were the goals we're going to look at now. The first came from Milano. What a genius.
Oh, a pure talent. I mean, it's a good little link-up. He actually started it, John, and it's a clinical finish on his left side for his 6th goal of the season. Excellent link-up play with Vassell, and he comes on his left side, and it's a stunning execution from a player of the highest order. And the second goal from the substitute Fernandes. Good little link-up. His first touch, the Swiss player in his 75th minute. And obviously makes it game, set and match. And I must say, the Newcastle defensive line was woeful.
Yeah, it was woeful, and the Newcastle fans voted with their feet 10-15 minutes before the end even. They were streaming out of the ground. It's not good news for them, and it's a shame because it's a great club and a great bunch of supporters there.
Concur with you, John.
Good news for Manchester City, though. They're now going to 4th place, funny you should mention, because Liverpool slipped up badly against Wigan, didn't they, last night?
Yeah, but, you've got to give Steve Bruce a lot of credit. Done an excellent job, John. The impact he's made has been very impressive, but Liverpool, they are struggling in the point situation at the moment. I mean, it's a game, John, it was a must-win. And obviously it was Torres scoring his 16th goal out of a possible 24 this season, been in outstanding form, but it's the supply around him. There's an over-reliance and a great dependency on him. But obviously later in the game it was an equaliser. They failed to clear the ball. What a stunning, exquisite strike by Bramble, central defender as well, John.
Second time in 2 games?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, he's settled, he's making a very, very good impact, and certainly Steve Bruce, though, has done extremely well.
Can he save them?
I think, yes, they've moved out the bottom 3. Sunderland's gone down with their defeat, and the odds look good for them at the moment.
Let's have a look at the sequence of events over the festive season. We've compiled our own little top 4 of teams who've done particularly well over the festive season. Well, there they are.
Well, it's all about consistency, John. If you look at Arsenal, okay, they drew at Portsmouth, but beat Everton comprehensively 4-1 and 2-0, and obviously Chelsea with the same. 4-4 in the epic with Villa, 2-1 with Newcastle and Fulham, and ultimately Manchester United. It's all about consistency. They got beat by West Ham, but 4-1 against Sunderland and Birmingham, and Liverpool struggling 10 points off Man United and 12 points off the top, John.
Just briefly, do you think those top 3 will be the top 3 at the end of the season?
A resounding yes.
Yeah, with Manchester City 4th, of course.
John, wish you well.
Thank you very much indeed, Paul.
You're watching the news on GMTV. Good morning. This morning's headlines. Drivers are being advised to prepare for hazardous conditions this morning, with snow and freezing temperatures forecast for much of the country.
In Kenya, the opposition leader has insisted a banned rally by 1 million protesters will go ahead today, despite concerns it could lead to further violence.
And the rail regulator says it's launching an urgent investigation into the engineering delays on the West Coast Main Line, which threatened to disrupt commuter travel again this morning. So, a barrel of oil hit a record price of $100 yesterday, the front page of the Times. But how is it going to impact on us? Will petrol prices rise even more? Well, I'm joined by Justin Urquhart-Stewart from the London Stock Exchange. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
First of all, why is this happening? Why has it gone up?
Well, actually, what happened yesterday, there were some specific trades that put it over. The whole market wasn't moving above it, but there was particular trades that put over $100. But you could see what was happening. We had cold weather in America, short-term snap on that. We've had concerns about production in Nigeria. But there's an awful lot of speculation going on as well. People trading these things on the basis that there's liable to be a supply shortage. No shortage of oil. It's just a shortage of refining capacity, and that's what's causing a problem coming through. So add a bit of speculative nerves over it over Christmas and things like that, it pops over $100 a barrel. And you can see the reaction already feeding through in terms of some of the prices. Our petrol prices don't reflect the $100 yet. Well, they will do in due course. But bear in mind one thing, these are dollars. The dollar's been falling right the way down. Meanwhile, the price of crude's been going up. What's been happening is a lot of the oil producers want to get their money's worth back in dollars, but because the dollar's cheaper, they need to charge more for it. So that's why you're seeing this squeeze. But it will affect us. We're going to pay more. I was sitting at a petrol station yesterday up in North Wales, and I've never seen the price of petrol there being quite so much. It was eye-watering filling up my car.
103 in some places.
It was, yeah. I think it was actually slightly over that.
Really?
Yeah.
What about gas bills? Would it impact on those too?
What's going to do it? It'll impact right the way through all the costs of the system. So in terms of manufacturing, in terms of power production, so electricity costs and all those sort of things, it comes its way through. In terms of petrol prices, though, bear in mind, over 80% of our petrol price is tax. It's not actually oil price at all. So actually, we're slightly protected. We're also slightly protected because we've got a stronger pound against the dollar. Watch out, because we're going to have interest rates, maybe as early as next week, coming through into the United Kingdom, which may be good news for us who are borrowing, but that also means the sterling's going to be weakening, probably against the dollar, and therefore that price of crude will start to affect us more. So I'm afraid prices are going to stay higher and probably stay higher.
And briefly, that could have an impact on interest rates?
Well, interest rates will be coming down. That's pretty likely. However, there are inflationary pressures too. And this is the big argument. Do you cut interest rates to save the economy, or do you actually keep them where they are to fight off inflation? To be discussed.
And we'll discuss it with you, I'm sure, at a later point. Thank you very much.
OK, lots more still to come this morning, including Claire will be telling you where the wintry weather is hitting this morning.
And we'll check out the contenders to become the most powerful man or woman in the world.
Welcome back. The time 6:20. Very good morning to you if you're just joining us. The race for the White House begins in earnest today as the first US presidential votes take place in the state of Iowa. So who are the candidates fighting it out for the top spot, and what will it mean for us here in Britain? Here's Sarah Moore.
In 2008, this man is out, and the White House will be home to one of these, all fighting it out to be the next president of the United States.
The next president won't be decided until November, but the race officially begins today in Iowa. Television stations from across the world are here waiting to see who they pick in this state to be the candidate for the Democrats or the Republican Party to fight for the White House.
So what happens? Well, anyone registered to a party can go to the caucus. They turn up and raise their hands or stand in a group for the candidate they want to support. A vote is taken, and the one with the most votes is the preferred presidential nominee for that party in that state. It's an open race, and all eyes are on Iowa for an early indication of who could be running America. It's the first in the nation to go to the polls. Already, it's a showbiz affair, looking more like Political Idol. The main Democrat contenders, Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, have both added glitz and glamour to their campaign. The former First Lady counts her husband Bill and Madonna as her #1 fans. But then Oprah Winfrey has been running campaigns for Obama, and with Brad Pitt and Will Smith also backing him, he wins a celeb vote. But will that be enough? But there's competition on the Republican side. The main contenders for the nomination in Iowa are Mitt Romney and Mike Huckabee, with Rudy Giuliani leading the polls nationally.
Well, joined in the studio now by American Studies expert Professor Phil Davies. Good to see you. Thanks very much indeed for getting up to talk to us. What will this mean for us here in the UK, assuming, say, for example, the Democrats win the election at the end of the day in November?
Well, the main difference is between the two parties rather than between the individuals fighting for the party nominations. And probably the main issues that would affect Britain would be things like Iraq, Iran and climate change, because the rest of the domestic stuff doesn't really affect us at all. But on Iran, for instance, the Republicans talk a rather more belligerent line. On Iraq, the Democrats are more eager to get out. And on climate change, you've still got some of the Republicans who hardly believe it's happening at all.
That would be a tricky one for Hillary Clinton if she were to become the President of the United States, given that she voted for the war in Iraq in the first place.
Well, this is true. It's also true of Edwards, but both of them have now turned their positions. But they're still slightly different. Hillary's looking at a slow withdrawal and the idea of maintaining some American presence, possibly as long as 2013, whereas Edwards is talking about getting the troops out in 10 months.
We do have the prospect, if Hillary Clinton does win, of her being the first female to be President of the United States. We have the prospect, if Obama wins, of him being the first African-American to be President of the United States. And one wonders, if that was the case, if the Republicans were pushed out of the picture, largely because of Bush's unpopularity, what's the relationship either of those two would have with Gordon Brown here in the UK?
Gordon Brown's links into the Democratic Party are strong. He is quite an America-phile. He visits a lot, and he has good links into the Democratic leadership. So I think that whoever, if the Democrats won, I think that whoever it was, Gordon Brown's team would have quite good connections with them.
Ex-Mayor of New York, Giuliani, who many people will remember, of course, for his heroics after the September the 11th atrocity, is shying away a little bit from Iowa. He's concentrating on events nationally. Do you think he's in with a chance, given the unpopularity of George Bush at the moment?
Oh, he's in with a chance. His problem is that for many Republicans, he's seen as a little too liberal on social affairs, on things like abortion and such, which is one of the reasons why he is fighting shy of Iowa, which is a religious, on the Republican side, a religious conservative
Well, they were the people who won it for Bush last time, weren't they?
Well, they were indeed, and this is why someone like Mike Huckabee, who is not doing well nationally, is looking so good in Iowa. On the whole, one thinks that Mike Huckabee will probably fade after this. Giuliani will get his chance in the later states.
So, tough call, I know, but if you had to put your last fiver on who's going to be the next President of the United States, who would it be?
It is a tough call. It's so close on both sides. I think that probably Hillary is still marginally the favourite.
For now.
For now.
Wise man. Phil, thanks very much indeed for being with us.
Thank you.
It's exciting, isn't it? Time for the weather now with Claire.
Hello there. Well, for some of you, you'll be seeing at least 36 hours of snow. Accumulations could be up to, in the most remote places, 8 inches, particularly across central and eastern areas of Scotland. And wherever you are today, it is bitterly cold, and it will remain so right the way through the day. Let's take a look.
GMTV weather, sponsored by Nestle Cereals. Whole grain for the whole family every morning.
So for today, we can see where the snow is going to fall. We could see some patchy snow across much of England and Wales, but it's anywhere from northeast England up towards eastern Scotland. That's where the snow showers are now piling in, and they will continue to do so, becoming frequent and heavier through the day. And then this area of snow, rain and snow moving its way northwards, will merge with the showers here, and that means more snow tonight for the northeast. And even across towards Northern Ireland, you could get 1 or 2 snow flurries this afternoon, but I think that's where the best of the weather is likely to be. So this morning then, well, wherever you are, it's freezing cold. The wind is very strong, and that means the lowest wind chill today probably around -10, -11 degrees Celsius. That's wind chill. Typical temperatures probably around 0 to 3 as we head through the afternoon. So we can see where the snow showers are. They've been moving in across central and eastern areas of Scotland overnight, down towards Northumberland, as well as Yorkshire, and even places such as Lincolnshire are seeing 1 or 2. Down towards the south, currently we're seeing a little bit of patchy rain. As that rain moves up, though, across the morning, you can see it's going to turn colder, and that rain will turn to snow. So we could see 1 or 2 centimetres across England and Wales as we head through the afternoon. So wherever you are this morning, wrap up warm because it is going to be bitterly cold. Through the afternoon then, for the northwest of the country in Scotland, that's where you'll see the sunshine. But those snow showers really pushing in. Temperatures struggling there, as you can see. The wind is so strong they could actually push across to the southwest of Scotland, as well as places such as Carlisle, but places such as Manchester probably getting away with some dry weather. Cloudy conditions moving up across the Midlands as well as East Anglia by around 3 o'clock, anywhere from Essex across to Oxfordshire and South Wales, seeing that snow, rain currently, and continue to be down towards the West Country. Much of Wales then getting away with a dry afternoon, but as I said, 1 or 2 snow showers likely just to clip the eastern and northern side of Northern Ireland, and temperatures here will be the highest 4 Celsius at the very best. Tonight then, as I said, the snow in the south will merge with the showers in the north. That means more snow, particularly for the central and eastern area of Scotland as well as northeast England. Fog in the south, freezing cold in the west with temperatures down to -3. And that's how we see tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be very, very tricky indeed across eastern Scotland because by then we could see up to 8 inches of snow elsewhere. It's dying out, more rain to come later on in the day. Here's your summary. Check out what the weather will be like this weekend on our website, gm.tv.
Good morning. The time is 6:27 on Thursday, the 3rd of January 2008.
Yes, you're watching the News Hour here on GMTV. In the next half hour, there's still chaos on parts of the railway system. We'll be asking how commuters get compensation.
And we'll head to Nairobi, where a huge demonstration banned by the government is expected to take place today.
And we'll find out why these sisters have all opted for double mastectomies to rule out a hereditary risk of breast cancer. But our top story this morning, drivers are being advised to prepare for hazardous conditions with snow and freezing temperatures forecast for much of the country. The Highways Agency is preparing a fleet of gritters to treat motorways and A roads. Matt Arnold is at a gritting depot in Leicester. What's the picture, Matt?
Good morning to you, John. Well, a very chilly morning here at Leicester Forest East service station, which is where this gritting depot is, just alongside the M1. And as you can see by the gritter in front of me, the snowplough is out and attached. You won't get a better indication that snow is forecast. The Met Office is saying that in the extreme north of England and Scotland, there's a 60% chance of snow. We've just got these pictures in from Durham with the first flakes settling up there now. For the rest of the country, well, it's pretty much an east-west divide. If you took the spine of England as being the M1, everybody on the east side of that, Met Office is saying a 40% chance of snow there, and that goes right the way down to London and the southeast. On the west side of the country, a slightly reduced chance, perhaps 20% chance of snow there. Now, the gritters are all out here. I saw them go very early this morning. In this area alone, they're covering Leicestershire, Warwickshire and Staffordshire. 24 gritters out on the road. Well, let's take a sample look at the rest of the national picture. Over in Lincolnshire, 43 gritters are out there, and they've got the benefit of 10 roadside weather stations to keep them fully in the loop and the information up to date. In Barnsley in South Yorkshire, 12 gritters are out. They have 5 roadside sensors there to keep their information spot on too. Down in Cornwall, in the beautiful southwest, they stockpile 10,000 tonnes of salt to deal with the 875 miles of A and B roads they have down there. And of course, it's those A and B roads, when the snow does come, when we get a cold snap, that get the worst of the conditions. So good that they're keeping those ones clear. And I found out this morning that there's 11.25 tonnes of salt on board one of these machines behind me. That's 9 cubic metres, a massive amount. And if you do get stuck behind one on a 3-lane motorway, and let's face it, the chances this morning are very high that you will, probably best to get past it because there's enough salt on board to keep them going for 50 miles, John.
Matt, thanks very much indeed.
Now let's get this morning's other news. Good morning, Priya.
Thanks, Gloria. Thanks. Good morning. In Kenya, the opposition leader has insisted a banned march will go ahead today, despite concerns it could lead to further violence. 1 million protesters are expected to rally in the capital, Nairobi. Hundreds of people have died in the troubles following the re-election of President Kibaki last week. The Foreign Office has warned against all non-essential travel to the country. Back here, the rail regulator says it's launching an urgent investigation into the engineering delays on the West Coast main line, which threatened to disrupt commuter travel again this morning. Network Rail has admitted a shortage of staff is to blame for the problems and may now be fined. Well, Jackie Cablow is at Birmingham International Station for us this morning. Hello, Jackie.
Good morning, Priya. Yes, Virgin Trains still advising its passengers not to travel today. They've described the whole thing as a fiasco. Their trains have been very badly affected. And this is all due, of course, to these problems on the West Coast main line. Engineering works which have now overrun for the 4th successive day, basically closing a large section of line between Coventry, Northampton and Milton Keynes. And that's had enormous knock-on effects. Passengers yesterday describing nightmare journeys extended by 2 or 3 hours. In some places, having to get on buses, trains not running in many parts of the country, and it's going to be a similar scene today. Network Rail are blaming the fact that they don't have enough specialist staff, and we don't seem to be able to get a date out of them when this is all going to be sorted. The rail regulator is launching an investigation, and Network Rail could face a hefty fine over this, as well as for having Liverpool Street Station in London closed yesterday, again due to overrunning engineering works. Meanwhile, this is going to be raised as a matter of urgency in Parliament on Monday when they all return from their Christmas break. The Labour MP Louise Ellman says she wants an explanation and an apology to the thousands of passengers affected. Network Rail are refusing to comment at the moment on reports that it could be next Monday before things are sorted, Priya.
Jackie, thank you. The missing data scandal may be much worse than the government's admitted, according to a group of MPs. A report by the Commons Justice Committee warns the massive security breach at Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs wasn't an isolated case, and it's now calling for government departments to be held criminally responsible for data protection breaches. Christmas overspending will lead to record levels of debt this year. Accountants predict that around 120,000 people will be declared insolvent this year after splashing out over the festive season. Figures show that many shoppers were tempted by discounts online and on the high street. Opera singer Russell Watson has begun an intensive course of radiotherapy in a bid to combat a recurring brain tumour. The singer's been told his eyesight could be damaged as a result of the treatment. Tiffany Royce reports.
Not the way he may have wished to start the new year, but as Russell Watson headed to hospital to begin a gruelling course of radiotherapy, the singer was characteristically upbeat.
I just see it as another challenge and hopefully a step in the right direction and a step to getting this thing sorted out once and for all.
Father of 2, Russell had surgery to remove the brain tumour in October, his second operation in less than a year. He first discovered he was ill in 2006 but made a full recovery. Sadly, scans soon revealed the tumour had grown back. Now he will undergo intensive radiotherapy.
It's 5 weeks solid, 5 days a week. So it's pretty intense. I think as a human being, if you're going through anything like this, you've got to have something to aim for and you've got to believe that you're going to be all right.
A tough start to the year for a man who must be hoping 2008 really will bring him the all clear.
I said that's life.
Let's hope so. Look at what's on our website this morning. Discover the top 10 overseas property hotspots for 2008. Are you happy with your body shape? Take part in our New Year lifestyle survey. And we reveal what you're most likely to leave in a hotel room. All that and more on the website gm.tv. It's just about 6:34. Here's what's happening where you are.
Thanks, Priya. Good morning. The main stories here in the northwest. Former Manchester City star Joey Barton is back in court later this morning, charged with assault and affray. The Newcastle and England footballer will appear before Liverpool magistrates via video link from Walton Jail, having spent Christmas and New Year in custody. He's been charged in connection with an incident outside a McDonald's in Liverpool city centre. A murder investigation's underway after a man was stabbed to death in South Manchester. Police were called to St Brendan's Road in Withington around 9:30 last night, where they found the victim with knife wounds. He was taken to hospital but was pronounced dead on arrival. It's another day of delays and disruption on the West Coast main line, with no direct trains between the North West and London for a 4th successive day. The work at Rugby should have finished before New Year's Eve, but has overrun. It's left Network Rail, who are responsible for the upkeep of the track, facing a hefty fine. Commuters will have to continue to use buses for part of the route or travel via Sheffield. The 30th anniversary of the world's first test tube baby, who was born at a hospital in Oldham, is being marked this week. Louise Brown was delivered at Oldham General in 1978. She's since given birth to her own son in 2006. And one of the scientists who made it possible has opened a new IVF laboratory at St Mary's Hospital in Manchester.
Doctors, scientists, nurses, we've all worked together as a team. And here now I can see the facilities you've offered to keep this practice going with plenty of staff and also the right conditions where they all can work together.
Bolton Wanderers striker El Hadj Diouf is launching his own charity to help disadvantaged children. The Diouf Foundation will work with youngsters here in the UK and in Senegal, where the player was born. The striker says he wants to repay some of the help he received in Africa as a youngster. In last night's football, Manchester City moved into the Premier League top four with a 2-0 win at Newcastle United. They replaced Liverpool, who could only manage a 1-1 draw at home to Wigan. Bolton beat Derby 1-0, while Blackburn overcame Sunderland by the same score. That's it for now. I'm back at 7:05. In a moment, we'll return to Gloria and John, but first a look at the region's weather. And don't forget, if you have any pictures of snow or frost this morning, then please send them to us.
Pantene Pro V Winter Rescue. Forecasting a great hair day, whatever the weather. Sponsors of GMTV Weather.
Most places will start with a dry morning with thin cloud and a few bright spells. This afternoon staying dry, highs of just 2 degrees, 36 Fahrenheit.
Welcome back to the News Hour. 23 minutes to 7 is the time. Quick look at the morning papers. The Times concentrates on the rise in oil prices, which we featured a few moments ago. The Independent, the future starts here. That's a reflection of the caucuses in Iowa, which we're featuring also on the programme. Murder of the children who sought sanctuary in the church. Well, you heard about that on the News Hour yesterday morning. Absolutely appalling atrocity in Kenya. A mass rally planned there today. £140 rise in council tax is forecast by the Daily Express. And the weather forecaster, Sean, is going to get married, according to them as well. Daily Mirror, what a waste. That's a terrible, awful story of a man who went out to look for his dog and was murdered by youngsters allegedly who've been drinking vodka. Front page of the Daily Mail, a researcher of Gordon Brown, one of Gordon Brown's researchers, saying that parents should get tax breaks to help them bring up their children. And the front page of the Sun, that's Joey Barton, the Newcastle United footballer who's being held in custody at the moment, apparently crying himself to sleep in the cells in Liverpool every night.
And many of the papers detailing the chaos on the railways following the overrunning engineering works. This is inside the Daily Telegraph. The misery continues for rail travellers, and it certainly does. And joining me now is Ashwin Kumar from the National Rail Watchdog, Passenger Focus. Thank you for getting up. You've had a busy time at the moment.
I have indeed.
What's your advice to people who still need to make that journey?
Well, I'm in fact going to Manchester myself straight after the programme, and the thing that I would say is do check the websites and possibly phone up, because the situation is changing every day, and that's what's wrong about this. We should be able to plan our journeys, not have to wake up in the morning and phone up to find out what we're doing that day.
It's been chaotic, it's been a nightmare for passengers. Can we get compensation?
Well, yes, and the thing to do is to get in touch with your rail company, get a claim form, make the claim. Because what's going to happen is that Network Rail will have to pay compensation to the rail company, and we as passengers aren't going to see any of that unless we actually make the claim.
But you accept that obviously engineering works have to take place. That's how we get a better service in the long run. So what's the best way to do it while minimising disruption?
Well, I mean, the point is that when these works have happened, in a year's time, we're going to get better service between London and the North West. It's going to be faster, more frequent trains. So the work has got to happen, but the process of change has got to be managed properly. We've got Network Rail has to get a grip of its project management, because we're going to have this work going on for the rest of this year at weekends, and we can't have this happening every time there's more engineering works.
And when you've been speaking to passengers, what's the mood really?
Well, people are angry. I mean, they're frustrated. You know, we've done research. Passenger Focus has done research to find out what passengers want when there's disruption. And the top thing they all say is to be able to plan. Now, the deal is in the rail industry that Network Rail should give 12 weeks' notice of any engineering works, so that when you buy your ticket, you know what service you're getting. And that's what's not happened here.
So basically, people should look into that compensation there.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
The thing that they can do in the immediate.
Yes.
OK, thanks to you for explaining that. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Kenya's opposition party is to go ahead with a mass march in Nairobi this morning despite a police ban on the event. Hundreds of people have now died in the violence which broke out following the disputed re-election of President Kibaki last week. Sue Jamieson is in Nairobi for us this morning. Just arrived there. Sue, good to see you. Just give us your first impressions.
Well, John, it's a very tense situation indeed. You've got up to 1 million supporters of the opposition leader, Raila Odinga, who are massing about 2 or 3 kilometres in that direction. In fact, we've been seeing smoke rising from over there, although it seems to have disappeared at the moment. They are trying to march into a park. Now, what I've seen, even just coming in from the airport, hundreds and hundreds of armed police and these GSUs, General Service Units, all armed, lining that route. But what we also have at Kibera, which is the stronghold of Odinga, where these people are trying to come in from, we have many more there. Now, they have already used a water cannon this morning, and they've been using tear gas to try and hold these people back away from the centre, because obviously they fear that if they're able to get into Nairobi, then the potential for violence is even more, and they have seen enough of that over the last few days. So I would say it's extremely tense. I think most people here are going to be trying to stay indoors and certainly lock up businesses, because it is potentially a powder keg. We're going to have a press conference happening in about an hour or two from the opposition, who are going to try and explain how their rally is going to take place, and we're not exactly sure when it's going to take place. I suspect it's going to be opportunist when it happens.
Sue, we're having a bit of trouble with the wind that's blowing through your hair and also through your microphone. I think if you move your right shoulder towards the camera, we might ease that situation a little bit. That's it, more like it. Is there any sign of the two sides actually getting together at all?
Well, I'm also having trouble with whatever it is from your end, so I'll just press on. At the moment, there is no sign of the two sides really getting together, and I think I can illustrate that best by showing you this morning's papers. Now, both of them, Save Our Beloved Country. Save our beloved country. This is almost as though it's the media saying to the two leaders, you've got to talk. I mean, I'll just give you an idea of some of the other things here. No grievance and no cause is worth the innocent blood of Kenyan children. And they speak about their leaders issuing half-hearted calls for peace from the comfort of their hotels and their bulletproof limousines. I think there's a real fear here from many Kenyans that their country is standing on the brink. They've had 40 years of peace. The economy has grown, and they see all that perhaps being thrown away in a matter of days, particularly when you have both sides. You have Raila Odinga, the opposition leader, saying, I won't rest until I have the right democratic result. And then you have the President Kibaki, who's saying, well, there's no need for a recount because I won fair and square. And from the outside as well, no real sign of mediation. There was supposed to be the Ghanaian president coming here to start talking, but he's not here yet. So I'd say it's a very difficult situation. Today has been described to me as make or break day.
It sure is, I'm sure. Sue, thanks very much indeed for battling against the odds. You take care. On the line now, British teacher Alison Rogers, who ran a school in Kisumu in Kenya, which has been burned down during those riots. Alison, thanks very much indeed for getting up to talk to us. You had a terrifying ordeal. Just describe the circumstances in which you were forced to leave your property.
Basically, let me just put you right on one thing. The school itself, I was a head teacher of, I think that's still okay. We had reports that it had burnt down. We couldn't go and see it because it was unsafe, but I think the school is okay where I was working. However, with the children's charity and the business that we owned and invested everything in, sold our house in London 2 years ago and invested everything in on the shores of Lake Victoria, only 8 kilometres outside Kisumu, that one has been absolutely burnt to the ground. It's been looted. Every tree that was there, and we planted over 100 trees, I mean, beautiful ones, mahogany from all over Kenya. We've collected and planted things. That one has been burnt to the ground. There is nothing left there at all. And the people that were there were chased off. They were going to be killed or threatened with being killed. And that included one woman and 3 of her children and her niece. One of them was aged 4, another aged 5, another one aged 12, and her niece was aged 18, hoping to go to college or university. Now, they were chased by about 200 people barefoot along the shores of the lake. Until they eventually managed to through hiding and through the kindness of some other local people, managed to get to our house in Kisumu Centre itself. We couldn't even go to see the business property because it was unsafe and the roads were on fire. and people were looting and killing Kikuyus in the street. And as you're aware, I'm married to a Kikuyu, and my children are Kikuyu, so we were in hiding in the house at the time.
Well, it must have been a terrifying ordeal for you. And what about the children, and indeed a little baby, a very tiny baby you have? I mean, how have you all coped through this?
Well, of course, we felt extremely vulnerable, and as a mother, as I suppose any mother there can guess, your first priority is your children and trying to keep them safe. And if you feel that you're not in a position to keep them safe, that is the most terrifying thing that you can be faced with. The baby, of course, is 3 weeks old. Very, very tiny. I had her by emergency cesarean section, so I wasn't particularly well. I wasn't able to drive, even if I could. And my husband couldn't go out, so I was the one that had to go and look for food or try and find things because, I was the only one who politically doesn't have a statement to make. So that was very difficult. And I think it's been very difficult on my 7-year-old and my 9-year-old. I've had to give a lot of attention to the baby, feeding every 4 hours. Thank goodness I'm breastfeeding and not on formula milk because I couldn't have got it. And, they've got lots of unanswered questions and lots of frustrations and lots of anxieties themselves that they don't understand and that we haven't been able to properly sit down and talk to them about. My little girl, when people came to our gate to try and break into the house and try and get us and the other 2 Kikuyu families that we were hiding, she said, "Mum, I'm so frightened. I can't even, I feel too sick to be able to pack." My little boy has just been very, very, very quiet. Trying to be strong.
So, Alison, I'm not the least surprised. Regrettably, I have to end it there. I do know that having been in a hotel, you're now, I think, in the safe hands or safer hands of some friends in Nairobi. We wish you well and hope that you and your lovely family stay safe. Thank you very much, Dee, for talking to us.
Now, after watching their mother and their sister die of breast cancer, 3 sisters have had their breasts removed as a preventative measure. We'll be speaking to them in just a moment, but first, here's Anna Thomas on how their lives have been affected by the disease.
Mandy, Christine and Susan have lived with the spectre of cancer since their teens. They watched their mother, Kathleen, fight breast cancer for 4 years, until her death in 1980. She was just 46. 2 years later, their father, Frank, died from lung cancer. Then, in 1994, tragedy struck again. Their sister, Angela, was diagnosed with breast cancer at just 32. 2 years later, she died. In October 2003, Christine was told she too had breast cancer. She had a double mastectomy followed by intensive radiotherapy and chemotherapy. It was then that Mandy and Susan took the drastic decision to have total mastectomies without ever being diagnosed with cancer. And now, sisters with a unique bond, they're all looking forward to a fearless future.
And I'm joined by those amazing women now, Mandy McSwiggan, Christine Creasy and Susan Chaplin. Good morning to you all. Christine, you're the only one of the 3 people here who have had breast cancer. How are you?
I'm in remission again, thanks goodness to treatment and wonderful doctors.
And Mandy, you've had a mastectomy as a preventative measure.
I have, yes.
Tell me about the decision.
It was an easy decision, obviously after watching Mum and Angie and then obviously with Christine getting the disease. We were given this great opportunity. I found the decision very easy. It was the right one for me.
Susan?
Yeah, exactly the same actually. Watching how people when they have breast cancer suffer with the treatment, even though obviously it was a radical decision to make, compared to people that suffer with it, it really was quite an easy ride for Mandy and I.
What did you think when you found out, when they told you that this is what they were going to do?
I thought it was a good idea because I did have the chance to have this done 7 years ago when our sister died, and I just said I didn't take the option. So, and once they got the option back up again and I got the disease, they decided to have their breast done without any big decision really.
And what about your husband? What did
I'm
he...
not married.
Oh, you're... Sorry.
It's me.
I'm terribly sorry.
Yes, actually, he didn't want to influence me either way, although when we did discuss it, I think he was erring towards me having it done. And having 2 young children, I thought it was the right thing to do, really, just to get over the operations and just look forward to the future with a bit more peace of mind, really.
It's a terrible disease with a huge genetic predisposition. I mean, what would you say to women who are watching this, who are suffering? What's helped you?
I just think I've been so lucky with friends, family, and the doctors and the treatments have come on so much in the last, since Angie had it 10 years ago. I wouldn't have been alive if I'd had it 10 years ago, because the treatment that has come on now, the chemotherapy is fantastic.
And your prognosis is good?
I hope so. I hope so. Yeah.
And how do you two feel? It must have been incredible. I mean, it's very big surgery that you underwent, isn't it? It must have been very painful. How long were you in hospital?
It wasn't actually as painful as what we first thought. First couple of days, it was more sort of a discomfort than a pain. But literally 2 days, and we were out within 4. So.
But when you went into that operating theatre, what was going through your head?
Are we doing the right thing? Are we doing the right thing? What are we going to look like? Obviously, because it does have a cosmetic.
Even at that stage, you're asking that question.
Yeah.
Not surprisingly, I'm not
criticising
you at all for that.
Yeah,
not
definitely. But still, in the back of your mind, you know you're doing it for the right reasons, because you certainly didn't want to go through or face what our sisters and mother had gone through. So, and any opportunity was the right thing.
Well, you are 3 very inspirational women, and it's a pleasure to talk to you this morning. Good luck. Good luck to you. Thanks for coming in. And you can get all the essential facts and information about breast cancer, including a symptoms checker, on our website, gm.tv.
Yeah, that's just about it from the two of us. We're handing over to Kate and Ben for GMTV Today.
And after the break, Claire with the latest on the wintry weather blasting parts of Britain this morning.
GMTV weather, sponsored by Nestlé cereals. Whole grain for the whole family every morning.
Hello there. Most of us will be seeing some snow today. Certainly everybody will be feeling the bitterly cold wind. Temperatures typically at the moment between around -1 and 1, and it's feeling more like -10. So wherever you are today, wrap up warm. As you can see from our snow map, over the next 12 hours or so, expecting up to 10 centimetres in places across central and eastern areas of Scotland down towards northeast England. And even further south, there's going to be, I'd say, up to 2 centimetres in places as rain moves its way northwards. So wherever you are, remember it could be tricky on the roads. The radar shows this very nicely indeed. If I just step out the way, you can see here a rash of showers moving in. There are rain showers up towards the North Sea, but as they hit the cold air inland, you can see here right the way down the coast there and also inland. In fact, we have a TV crew for you this morning in Durham, where it has been snowing for the last, I'd say, hour or so. And as you can see here, it's quite heavy in places, causing problems with visibility. So wherever you are today, remember, you could see some of this, if not now, but maybe later, particularly, I'd say, anywhere from the Wash northwards where it is likely to be heavy. So that's the picture at the moment. What's happening elsewhere? Well, to the west, as you can see, we're seeing drier skies this morning, and eventually you will see some sunshine here. In fact, sunshine across western areas of Scotland, perhaps even northwest England, particularly for this morning rather than this afternoon. Currently, there's cloud and rain moving across the far south of England, and that's going to hit the cold air, and it is going to turn to snow. So it's not particularly pleasant out there this morning. It's probably the coldest day we've seen for a long, long time with that wind chill factor. And the snow showers become more frequent through the afternoon and also heavier, so expect accumulations, particularly over the high ground away from the coastline. And as you can see, the wind's so strong, it's going to be pushing those showers right inland down towards the southwest of Scotland. The west coast seeing some dry weather, but in the east you can see the cloud spilling ahead of the main weather system, and this is where we're likely to see the snow continuing through the morning into the afternoon. Anywhere from, I'd say, Essex to the south coast of Wales through the afternoon, but to the north of that you can see it's mostly dry. 1 or 2 snow flurries are likely also for Northern Ireland, but here you should see some sunshine, and that's where the highest temperature will be. The snow continues in the east and the north tonight, fog in the south, and then tomorrow it will slowly die out. Here's your summary. For your local weekend weather, visit our website, gm.tv.
Good morning. Britain wakes up to the first serious cold snap of the winter. Snow is falling across large parts of the country, with more on the way.
With temperatures falling below freezing, the gritters are already in action. But will we cope? Let's not be cynical. Britain may not grind to a halt as usual. We'll be finding out a bit later on.
You say that, but if the trains are anything to go by, the signs are not looking good. Major disruptions could continue into next week, I'm afraid. That's what we're talking about today, and it's Thursday, the 3rd of January 2008. Good morning, you're watching GMTV today. It is approaching 7 o'clock. We've got more on all of those stories from Priya in just a moment.
Yes, it's not a whiteout everywhere yet, but it is bitterly cold out there. The very latest on the snow throughout the morning. I'm really hoping it's not going to snow in London this morning because I'm working and I don't want Darcy to see snow for the first time when I'm not here.
And you've got to be together when that
I've got to be together.
It's very
going to be like
special.
White Christmas.
It'll happen at some point, though. If the weather doesn't hamper your journey, well, the rail repairs just might. We've been on the West Coast line to see just how long the trip is taking the rail and bus journey from hell for you in 40 minutes' time.
Yeah, and they are building up an impressive fan base. Van Tramp, they're a British rock band, launching an assault on the charts, and they're performing live for us just after 7:30.
I have to say, Kate was looking very perky this morning when I wandered past her in the corridor,
Nice
talking
boys.
to the band.
Nice boys.
She hasn't looked that perky since McFly were in.
Oh dear, don't make me seem sad. Here's Priya.
Thanks, Kate. The top story at 7 o'clock. Drivers are being advised to prepare for hazardous conditions this morning with snow and freezing temperatures forecast for much of the country. The Highways Agency is preparing a fleet of gritters to treat motorways and A roads. Well, Matt Arnold is at a gritting depot in Leicestershire. Good morning, Matt.
Good morning to you, Priya, from Leicester Forest East alongside the M1, which is running smoothly, incidentally, just alongside me here. But as you can see, no better indication that snow is forecast than the fact that the snow ploughs are out on the gritters here. So what is the likelihood of snow in the country? Well, if you're in Scotland or the extreme north of England, the Met Office is saying there's a 60% chance of snow. These pictures recently in from Durham showing the extent of the snow already up there. For the rest of the country, though, well, there's pretty much an east-west divide right down, if you like, the M1, the spine of Britain. So anyone on the east side of that, the Met Office is saying a 40% chance of snow, and that's all the way down to London and the southeast. If you're on the west side of that, a reduced chance, about 20%. Now, the Highways Agency tell me that they have available 500 gritters nationally across the country. They've all got 11.25 tons of salt on board. That's 9 cubic metres. One word of advice, if you do get stuck behind one on a motorway this morning, and the likelihood is that you will see them out and about, probably overtake safely because there's enough salt on board to do a 3-lane motorway for 50 miles, Priya.
It's a lot of salt, Matt. Thank you. In Kenya, the opposition leader has insisted a banned protest march will go ahead today, despite pleas for the post-election violence to stop. The Foreign Office has warned against all non-essential travel to the country. Sue Jameson has just sent this report from the capital, Nairobi.
This has been described to me as make or break day. There are up to 1 million supporters of the opposition leader Raila Odinga who are massing about 2 or 3 kilometres in that direction. They're hoping to come into the city to a park where they're going to hold a protest rally. Now, I've seen this morning hundreds of armed police and these GSUs, General Service Units, waiting for them all down the main road, but also back there in the Kibera area, which is one of the strongholds of Odinga. Again, you have mass forces there. Already they have used a water cannon on protesters today to try and keep them away. Tear gas has been used as well. And just to give you an idea of perhaps some of the desperation that ordinary Kenyans are feeling with the potential clashes, both the newspapers this morning have this headline, "Save Our Beloved Country," and they're urging both the president and also the opposition leader to come together to start talking so that this doesn't descend into total chaos. Meanwhile, for the 7,000 British people living here, the Foreign Office has updated its advice, saying to stay away from any of these rallies, to stay indoors and no non-essential travel. Back to you.
Thank you, Sue. The rail regulator says it's launching an urgent investigation into the engineering delays on the West Coast Main Line, which threatened to disrupt commuter travel again this morning. Network Rail has admitted a shortage of staff is to blame for the problems and may now be fined. Well, Jackie Kabler is at Birmingham International Station for us this morning. Hi, Jackie.
Good morning. Yes, Virgin Trains have described this as an absolute fiasco. They're advising their passengers not to travel above.
Unfortunately, we're having some sound problems with Jackie. We'll bring you her in the next bulletin. The race for the White House begins today in the American state of Iowa. Voters there will decide which candidates from the Republican and Democratic parties they want to run for US president. The Democrats, with either Hillary Clinton at the helm or Senator Barack Obama, are expected to win the election, which takes place in November this year. And we'll be live to Iowa for the latest on the race for the White House in around 3 minutes. The missing data scandal may be much worse than the government's admitted, according to a group of MPs. A report by the Commons Justice Committee warns that the massive security breach at Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs wasn't an isolated case, and is calling for government departments to be held criminally responsible for data protection breaches. Christmas overspending will lead to record levels of debt this year. Accountants predict that around 120,000 people will be declared insolvent this year after splashing out over the festive season. Figures show that many shoppers were tempted by discounts online and on the high street. The record price of oil, now trading at $100 a barrel, means that UK motorists are facing the highest ever prices at the pump. Filling a typical 50-litre tank now costs £7.36 more than a year ago. That's according to the AA. Opera singer Russell Watson has begun an intensive course of radiotherapy in a bid to combat a recurring brain tumour. The singer has been told his eyesight could be damaged as a result of the treatment. Tiffany Royce has the details.
Not the way he may have wished to start the new year, but as Russell Watson headed to hospital to begin a gruelling course of radiotherapy, the singer was characteristically upbeat.
I just see it as another challenge and hopefully a step in the right direction and a step to getting this thing sorted out once and for all.
Father of two, Russell had surgery to remove the brain tumour in October, his second operation in less than a year. He first discovered he was ill in 2006 but made a full recovery. Sadly, scans soon revealed the tumour had grown back. Now he will undergo intensive radiotherapy.
It's 5 weeks solid, 5 days a week. So it's pretty intense. I think as a human being, if you're going through anything like this, you've got to have something to aim for and you've got to believe that you're going to be all right.
A tough start to the year for a man who must be hoping 2008 really will bring him the all clear.
Let's hope so. Look at what's on our website this morning. Discover the top 10 overseas property hotspots for 2008. Are you happy with your body shape? Take part in our New Year lifestyle survey. And we reveal what you're most likely to leave in a hotel room. All that and more on the website gm.tv. It's just gone 6 minutes past 7. Here's what's happening where you are.
Thanks, Priya. Good morning. The main stories here in the northwest. Former Manchester City star Joey Barton is back in court later this morning, charged with assault and affray. The Newcastle and England footballer will appear before Liverpool magistrates via video link from Walton Jail, having spent Christmas and New Year in custody. He's been charged in connection with an incident outside a McDonald's in Liverpool city centre. A murder investigation's underway after a man was stabbed to death in South Manchester. Police were called to St Brendan's Road in Withington around 9:30 last night, where they found the victim with knife wounds. He was taken to hospital but was pronounced dead on arrival. It's another day of delays and disruption on the West Coast main line, with no direct trains between the North West and London for a fourth successive day. The work at Rugby should have finished before New Year's Eve but has overrun. It's left Network Rail, who are responsible for the upkeep of the track, facing a hefty fine. Commuters will have to continue to use buses for part of the route. The 30th anniversary of the world's first test tube baby, who was born in a hospital in Oldham, is being marked this week. Louise Brown was delivered at Oldham General in 1978. She's since given birth to her own son in 2006. And one of the scientists who made it possible has opened a new IVF laboratory at St Mary's Hospital in Manchester.
Doctors, scientists, nurses, we've all worked together as a team. And here now, I can see the facilities you've offered to keep this practice going with plenty of staff and also the right conditions where they all can work together.
Bolton Wanderers striker El Hadj Diouf is launching his own charity to help disadvantaged children. The Diouf Foundation will work with youngsters here in the UK and in Senegal, where the player was born. The striker says he wants to repay some of the help he received in Africa as a youngster. In last night's football, Manchester City moved into the Premier League top four with a 2-0 win at Newcastle United. They replaced Liverpool, who could only manage a 1-1 draw at home to Wigan. Bolton beat Derby 1-0, while Blackburn overcame Sunderland by the same score. That's it for now. I'm back at 8:05. In a moment, we'll return to Ben and Kate, but first, a look at the region's weather. And don't forget, if you have any pictures of snow or frost this morning, then please send them to us.
Pantene Pro V Winter Rescue, forecasting a great hair day, whatever the weather. Sponsors of GMTV Weather.
Most places will start with a dry morning with thin cloud and a few bright spells. This afternoon will stay mostly dry. Temperatures today reaching just 2 degrees Celsius. That's 36 degrees Fahrenheit.
Now then, the front of The Independent this morning says it all. The future starts here. Who will be the next president of the United States? Well, the race for the White House begins today. It kicks off with the first US presidential nominee votes in the Midwestern state of Iowa. There it is in the red there. So, who eventually wrestled the job from George W. Bush? And what exactly does it actually mean to us lot over here in Britain? Sarah Moore is in Iowa for us this morning. Good morning, Sarah. So tell us exactly that. Why should we care over here?
Well, morning, Ben. Arguably, it's the most important powerhouse in the world. It's a big job. In a year, George W. Bush will move out of the White House and there will be a new resident in there. At the moment, it's a close call. The main candidates for the Democrats and the Republicans are both neck and neck. So all eyes are on Iowa right here to see who the people here go out for and vote later today. Now, the candidates are making sure they're doing everything they can to actually get people to go out and vote for them. They're going to some extraordinary levels. They're shoveling snow from people's driveways so they can go and make it to the polls. They're also offering babysitting services so parents can go and vote. But they're not the only ones. The celebrities as well have also been out, A-list stars saying who they want to be the next president of the United States.
In 2008, this man is out, and the White House will be home to one of these, all fighting it out to be the next president of the United States.
The next president won't be decided until November, but the race officially begins today in Iowa. Television stations from across the world are here waiting to see who they pick in this state to be the candidate for the Democrats or the Republican Party to fight for the White House.
So what happens? Well, anyone registered to a party can go to the caucus. They turn up and raise their hands or stand in a group for the candidate they want to support. A vote is taken, and the one with the most votes is the preferred presidential nominee for that party in that state. It's an open race, and all eyes are on Iowa for an early indication of who could be running America. It's the first in the nation to go to the polls. Already, it's a showbiz affair, looking more like Political Idol. The main Democrat contenders, Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, have both added glitz and glamour to their campaign. The former First Lady counts her husband Bill and Madonna as her #1 fans. But then Oprah Winfrey has been running campaigns for Obama, and with Brad Pitt and Will Smith also backing him, he wins a celeb vote. But will that be enough? But there's competition on the Republican side. The main contenders for the nomination in Iowa are Mitt Romney and Mike Huckabee, with Rudy Giuliani leading the polls nationally.
Well, we're joined now by Iowan political expert and pollster Mac Shelley. Good morning, Mac. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you.
I understand that this is one of the closest races for generations, and in fact, it's such a close call that actually it's been called, or it's been dubbed, the nobody knows election. Is that true?
Yes, that's true, and we could easily wind up with 2- or 3-way ties in both parties.
Well, that's going to be an interesting thing for you guys over there, but why is tonight's vote so important in terms of the eventual winners?
Well, this starts a process for picking who arguably is the most important and most powerful person on the planet in the world's still surviving superpower. So pretty much anyone who is going to be winnowed out by the process here is going to be left out in the cold, not being able to achieve the mantle of office. And of course, the ones who are left standing to fight another day, one of them eventually will become the president.
OK, it seems like quite a long and laborious process, though. So the elections start today. When do we actually find out who the Republican and Democratic candidates will be?
Well, we'll find out at the nominating conventions. Those are in September for both parties.
So from January to September, so this whole process is going to take all this time before we finally get down to the final 2 candidates. And then their parties, I understand, will actually choose who goes for the final presidential election.
That's correct.
And in terms of the relationship with the UK, do you think that whoever is eventually put up for presidential election is going to be able to support the relationship with the UK? Do you think it can survive or even thrive with a new president, whereas maybe it stuttered recently with George W. Bush?
Well, things definitely not improved under Bush. I think the British-U.S. relationship will be much better off under another regime. Whether it will matter whether that's a Democrat or a Republican remains to be seen. Probably, though, the money would be on the Democrats being a bit more congenial for the British-U.S. relationship.
And you're there in Iowa at the moment, Matt. Where do you see it all ending up? Who potentially could you see in the White House?
Well, on the Democratic side, I think the leading contenders obviously are at the moment are Clinton, Obama, and Edwards. Of those three, Hillary Clinton certainly is in top of national polls, so I put my money there. Republican side is a bit harder to say. Right now it looks as though McCain is coming up very strongly. McCain, Huckabee, Romney are pretty much running neck and neck at this point. I would think that if it were to come down to a contest of Hillary versus any of those leading Republicans, that she probably would come out ahead.
So it could be another Clinton in the White House. Matt, Shelley, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Well, 7:15, the main headlines you're waking up to this morning. Drivers are being advised to prepare for hazardous conditions this morning, with snow and freezing temperatures forecast for much of the country. In Kenya, the opposition leader has insisted a banned rally by 1 million protesters will go ahead today, despite concerns it could lead to further violence. And today's weather, well, eastern Scotland, north east England will have significant snow showers. Other areas may see some light dustings, but the west should stay dry. Top temperature 4 degrees Celsius, but it will feel much colder elsewhere.
And as Kate was saying, it's getting very cold, but are we prepared for that? And the snow, the gritters are already in action, but will Britain cope with the first serious cold snap of the winter? We're going to be live to Leicestershire to see how prepared we are.
Yeah, and coming up, the Van Tramp Boys revving up to perform their new single for us in about 20 minutes.
Stares into my eyes, late night bars and big old cars.
Hi there. Now, snow and freezing temperatures are beginning to cause chaos across much of the country. So, will Britain keep moving despite the snowfall? I think we probably can all guess the answer, but we mustn't be mean, because there's a lot of people out there trying to make things work. Matt Arnold's in Leicestershire at a gritting depot designed to keep everybody on the road. Good morning to you, Matt. I know they all work very, very hard there.
They're doing it right now, in fact, Kate. You can see some of the salt tipping into this one. Quick shout with the driver, Mick, who's... you've been out this morning already?
Been out at 5 o'clock. Yep. The roads are fine, all nice and dry.
Well, that's around here, isn't it, on the M1 in Leicestershire?
69.
Okie dokie. But it's a little bit different all around the rest of the country. Obviously, the Met Office have been forecasting snow. 60% chance if you're up in Scotland or the extreme north of England. For the rest of the country, there's a divide, really. It's either side of the M1 where we're standing now. If you're on the east side of the country, a 40% chance of snow predicted. If you're on the west side of the country, it's reduced. It's down to 20%. And the gritters are out here. They've started, as Mick just said, at 5 o'clock this morning. 24 gritters covering Lincolnshire, Staffordshire and Warwickshire. But let's take a look at the national picture, because in Lincolnshire alone, several gritters out there, and they've got the benefit of 10 roadside weather stations as well to keep them tip-top and up to date with the information. In Barnsley in South Yorkshire, they've got 12 gritters out there and 5 roadside sensors to keep their snow information 100% as well. And down in the southwest of the country in Cornwall, there's 10,000 tonnes of salt stockpiled to deal with the 875 miles of A and B roads that they have down there. And of course, it's the A and B roads that are particularly bad when we get a cold snap like we've got for the next couple of days. Now, Stephen Edwards, you're from the Highways Agency.
Yes, I am.
Standing in front of a snowplow, so...
We're ready.
You are, clearly. And 500 of your units available up and down the country now, I gather. So the old days when perhaps people used to complain, oh, we're always caught out by a cold snap, have they gone for good now?
Well, I can't say definitely that they've gone for good, but certainly we are very, very well prepared for this. We were seen recently, there have been, over in the United States, some real severe conditions. If we ever had anything like that, we may struggle. But we are very, very well prepared. As you can see, you've seen the salt going down into the vehicle there. And for conditions like we're going to get today, and generally we get throughout England, we can cope with.
Well, they've got some snow that's fallen up in the north of England already at the moment, but it's when the snow comes down that we do tend to collapse a bit. So why are we so much better now? What are you doing differently?
Well, one of the things that we've done, strangely enough, is that the actual material you've seen going down there is a little bit smaller than it used to be.
Well, the actual salt itself?
The actual salt itself is only now 6 millimetres opposed to 10, so it causes less damage to the actual vehicles that it's passing by. Now, what we're doing differently, we can help the environment also, because we've got ice sensors, as you've just previously been mentioning, out there on the network. That means we can treat particular little pockets, which means that we don't have to spread salt as widely as we've done in the past. Less salt on the network means that there's less damage to the environment.
Now, the Highways Agency had this rather interesting little survey which they said, I think, am I right in saying that women drivers are less likely to come to grief when we get to snow and icy weather? Slightly controversial. What's the thinking behind that survey?
It was an interesting little survey that we had. We undertook a survey of about 1,500 people, about 50-50 men and women, and we found from that about 60% of the women would listen to the advice that we're given, only 40% of the men. I don't know why that is, but that was a fact that came out of it. Now, the sort of things that we're asking for here is for people to be prepared themselves. You can see here, we're thoroughly prepared for this winter. Now, we're asking motorists to be prepared by taking things with them like warm clothing, a blanket, food and water, a mobile phone, and keep the car topped up with fuel. Because one of the problems that we have is that cars run out of fuel. And it's not just the severe weather with the snow, of course, because if people do have a breakdown in these sort of conditions, have to get out of the cars. And today, it's not the snow so much, it's the wind, the keen wind that we're going to get coming in. They'll be cold once they get outside of the cars, and they've got to be prepared themselves.
One of the fascinating things that I thought about the distance that one of these lorries can actually travel, full of salt, on a 3-lane motorway, apparently for 50 miles you could get stuck behind one of these now.
Well, you wouldn't be stuck behind it for 50 miles, I would hope, but the message I would like to give to the motorists is take care when you are behind one of these. They're there doing a job to keep you safe, to keep the roads open to traffic and to keep the motorists safe. So when you are approaching one of these vehicles, be very, very careful. Do overtake, but overtake with care.
OK, well, it's all running good here in the M1 alongside us now. Further afield, we wait to find out. But, Steve, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
No problem.
They're all ready, Kate, I reckon. They're definitely ready.
Doing a good job, doing a good job. What a surprise that men don't listen to advice.
Well, you see what the I think the
well
the
done.
reason...
Oh, look at you struggling.
No.
Sorry.
Calm down. Fan trampering, you're excited, aren't you?
I'm terribly excited.
The reasoning behind that statistic is 60% of women use it as an excuse not to go to work. 40% of men know they have to get the money, so they have to go to work anyway, so they go for their family.
Action.
Do you know what he did say?
What?
He said, we're a lot better at this than we used to be.
That's good.
And there's a fundamental reason for that.
Why?
Claire Nazir used to be the person to give the councils the advice to go out gritting.
You didn't you?
That was your job.
Yeah, it was my job.
But you don't do it anymore.
I don't do it. That doesn't mean to say it's better now.
That's exactly what he said.
No, it's just...
Steve said that.
Well, no, it's just the sensors are better. It's all the technology.
You're trying making her fast now. It's like ongoing.
What am I saying?
Anyway, if you're a man and you want to ignore some advice, we've got lots of it on the website. Claire, thank goodness they've started ignoring you.
Yes, absolutely.
We won't, though.
No.
Women don't. Women don't ignore you.
No, they don't. No. I don't ignore men or women, actually, because I think they've both got good points.
Oh.
Yeah, see, it's pan-gender with weather. Really is. Does that make sense? Anyway, should we talk about the weather, because it is a very serious subject today. Snow in places today, but up to 36 hours of the stuff, particularly across central and eastern areas of Scotland, as well as north-east England. If you're heading off to work now, it may not look too bad, but by the time you come home, it could be pretty bad indeed. Let's take a look.
GMTV weather, sponsored by Nestlé cereals. Whole grain for the whole family every morning.
So for the next 12 hours or so, this is the area where we're expecting to see the snow. To be honest, it's Northern Ireland where you'll see the best of the conditions, but even here you could see some snow flurries. Cloud and rain moving up from the south, giving a dusting across England and Wales, but the heaviest falls likely to be further north across central and eastern areas of Scotland as well as north-east England. The snow is already falling. We can see on the radar picture where it is, a rash of showers coming in from the North Sea, and as you can see, they're falling as rain here, but as they hit the cold air, falling as snow. In fact, our TV crew for you this morning in Durham, this is what the conditions were about an hour ago. As you can see, some heavy snowfalls, snow showers, so they will be coming and going, but they are likely to become heavier and more frequent as we head through the morning into the afternoon. So pretty bad and poor visibility if you do hit a snow shower. Also, because of the wind, it's going to be pretty bad, to be honest. The wind chill factor will mean wherever you are today, whether you're seeing sunshine or snow, it's going to feel more like -10 than 1 or 2 degrees Celsius. So awful condition. We're not really used to it here in Britain, are we? Bitterly cold conditions and the snow. It's only going to last for, I'd say, a day or so, but even so, it's going to get worse before it gets better, particularly across eastern and central parts of Scotland. Best of the sunshine across in the west, as you can see, those snow showers piling in through the afternoon. Frequent bursts also across Northumberland as well as Yorkshire. One or two getting across to the western side as well, but really for Lancashire as well as Cheshire, you should see some drier conditions. Cloud moving up through the afternoon. The rain moves up from the south. It hits the cold air. That's where we like to see the snow. Anywhere from Essex, Oxfordshire down towards the south of Wales around 3 o'clock this afternoon. Very windy with it as well. Rain down towards the West Country. For much of Wales, though, it will remain dry as well as places such as Shropshire. Isle of Man seeing some sunshine. 1 or 2 flurries coming in, particularly across the northern and eastern areas of Northern Ireland. Here, that's where the best the temperature will be, 3 or 4 degrees Celsius. Now, tonight, the area of cloud and rain, which is in the south, hitting the cold air, turning to snow, will merge with the showers moving across the sort of central and eastern areas of Scotland and north east England. So this is where the conditions will be worse. I'd say particularly across central and eastern areas of Scotland. Fog in the south, very chilly in the west where temperature could dip to -3 Celsius. So the snow showers continuing across central and eastern areas of Scotland, turning to rain further south and gradually that snow moving its way northwards. So the good news is it's tending to ease, but that's not really the end of the story, to be honest, and the reason why, well, through the afternoon, thickening cloud comes in across the west there, and again, because the air is so cold, the rain will hit the cold air and it's like to turn to sleet, then snow for a while. So that's tomorrow afternoon. England and Wales seeing some drier weather, some mist and murk, and we could actually see some rain later on in the day, and then eventually it turns to rain. The air turns a bit milder, but watch out wherever you are on Saturday, gale force winds and improving on Sunday. Here's your summary. Get the weekend outlook for your postcode on our website, gm.tv.
Now, are you a Van fan? If you're not, you soon will be. Talking about Van Tramp, they're in the studio ready to sing their new single for us in about 10 minutes.
That's great. And we've got the rail journey from hell, or the rail and bus journey from hell, all will become clear when we cross live to Birmingham in the next half an hour. Now, though, we're going to get the news update from Priya.
Thanks, Ben. Good morning. Drivers are being advised to prepare for hazardous conditions this morning, with snow and freezing temperatures forecast for much of the country. The Highways Agency is preparing a fleet of gritters to treat motorways and A roads and is warning drivers to pack food and extra clothing in case they break down. In Kenya, the opposition leader has insisted a banned march will go ahead today, despite concerns it could lead to further violence. 1 million protesters are expected to rally in the capital, Nairobi. Hundreds of people have died in the Troubles following the re-election of President Kibaki last week. The Foreign Office has warned against all non-essential travel to the country. The rail regulator says it's launching an urgent investigation into the engineering delays on the West Coast Main Line, which threatened to disrupt commuter travel again this morning. Network Rail has admitted a shortage of staff is to blame for the problems, and they may now be fined. Well, Jackie Kabler is at Birmingham International Station for us this morning. Hi, Jackie.
Good morning, Priya. Yes, Virgin Trains advising their passengers not to travel again today. They described the whole thing as a fiasco. It's all due, of course, to these works on the West Coast Main Line, which have now overrun for the 4th consecutive day, closing a section of line between Coventry, Northampton and Milton Keynes. And that has caused huge knock-on effects. Passengers yesterday describing nightmare journeys extended by 2, 3, 4 hours, having to get buses and so on. And many, many trains are not running around the country. A similar picture today. The rail regulator has launched an investigation. They could impose a hefty fine on Network Rail for this, and also for having Liverpool Street Station closed entirely in London yesterday and still partially closed today. Only 4 out of 6 lines running there, again due to engineering works overrunning. Meanwhile, this is going to be raised as a matter of urgency in the Commons on Monday when they all return from their Christmas break. The Labour MP Louise Ellman says she wants an explanation and an apology for the thousands of people affected. Network Rail at the moment, though, Priya, refusing to comment on some reports that it could be next Monday before it's all sorted out.
Jackie, thanks for the update. Well, we'll be getting the latest from Network Rail in about 10 minutes' time. In America, the race for the White House begins today in the state of Iowa. Voters there will decide which candidates from the Republican and Democratic parties they want to run for US president. The Democrats, with either Hillary Clinton at the helm or Senator Barack Obama, are expected to win the election, which takes place in November this year. Efforts to tackle child poverty are failing to help parents in low-paid jobs. The Institute of Public Policy Research says the government's changes have mostly helped families in which neither parent works. It says the number of youngsters in poverty with at least one working parent has stayed the same in 10 years. The missing data scandal may be much worse than the government's admitted, according to a group of MPs. A report by the Commons Justice Committee warns that the massive security breach at Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs wasn't an isolated case, and it's now calling for government departments to be held criminally responsible for data protection breaches. Opera singer Russell Watson has begun an intensive course of radiotherapy in a bid to combat a recurring brain tumour. The singer's been told his eyesight could be damaged as a result of the treatment. The father of two will undergo 5 days of radiotherapy every week for the next 5.
I just see it as another challenge and hopefully a step in the right direction and a step to getting this thing sorted out once and for all.
The time is now 7:33. Back to Ben and Kate.
Thanks very much, Priya.
Thank you.
Now then, coming up after 8 o'clock, drastic action. We're going to be meeting the sisters who all had mastectomies to try and prevent them getting breast cancer.
Up next, a bit of rock and roll in the form of Van Tramp. The boys are getting ready to perform their new single for us. That's right after this break. See you in a bit.
Now they've got a real treat for you. Great band. They've been called great by Led Zeppelin legend Robert Plant. Hollywood star Owen Wilson is one of their best mates. He can't get enough of them, and they're here for you this morning. Van Tramp, they've got a single that's coming out on the 28th of January that you're going to love. It's called Help Me Make It, and here they are singing live. Guys, thanks very much for coming in. Van Tramp.
Oh, brother, won't you pray for me for all the lies ahead? Keep me from the wrongs I'm bound to right. Sister, you will stay with me for all the things you said. As the lights go down and I kiss the world goodnight. And here I'm standing high above the water. A fallen angel stares into my eyes. Late night bars and big old cars crash inside my head. Shooting stars and twisted stripes collide. Help me make it through the night. Was it mediocrity that scared me half away? Or was it just the path life's meant to take? So friend, please have a drink on me for all that's come my way. As the lights go down and I kiss the world goodnight. And here I'm standing high above the water. A fallen angel stares into my eyes. Late night bars and big old cars crash inside my head. Shooting stars and twisted stripes collide. Ooh, help me make it through the night. Twisted stripes collide. Ooh, help me make it through the night. And here I'm standing high above the water. A fallen angel stares into my eyes. Late night bars and big old cars crash inside my head. Crash inside my head. Shooting stars and twisted stripes collide. Ooh, help me make it through the night. Yeah, help me
singing live for us. Van Tramp. That singles out on the 28th of January. Help Me Make It. That's a cracker, isn't it?
It is a cracker, isn't it?
That's the sort of voice I think I'd like. If I could ever have sung, I'd like to have a voice like
Would
this.
you?
Yeah, sit there, yeah.
Girls love it, Ben.
Do they?
Oh, yeah. 7:42. The main headlines you're waking up to this morning are the drivers are being advised to prepare for hazardous conditions this morning, with snow and freezing temperatures forecast for much of the country. In Kenya, the opposition leader has insisted a banned rally by 1 million protesters will go ahead today, despite concerns it could lead to further violence. And today's weather, eastern Scotland and northeast England will have significant snow showers. Other areas may see some light dustings, but the west should stay dry. Top temperature 4 degrees Celsius, but it will feel much colder everywhere. So I'm afraid the travel chaos continues for thousands of people across Britain again today. Overrunning engineering work on the railways has left many passengers facing long delays, just as huge hikes in train fares kick in. So it all means more misery for passengers, as Cordelia Kretschmar discovered as she attempted to travel to Birmingham from London on that troubled West Coast line.
Well, according to the website, the trains from Euston to Birmingham are running today. They involve no changes and they take an hour and 16 minutes. But according to the board, that's clearly not the case. So it's 4:40 now. Let's see how long it takes. Well, so far so good. 4:57, the train set off on time. Well, we've been on the train for an hour now. Things just started to go wrong. We're at Northampton. We've got to get off the train and onto a bus.
I've just come from Brussels with my wife, and to get to Euston is fine, and then to have this ridiculous mess up is just utterly unacceptable.
It's messed us up, really. We was hoping to have a nice meal and finish our holiday, but it spoilt the holiday, really.
I actually booked first class ticket 3 days ago so I could come in comfort, and it was horrendous all the way down.
Well, we're at Birmingham International now. It's 7:10. That means it's taken nearly twice as long as it should have to get here, and most of these people have got to get on another train now to finish their journey.
So a new year, but it would appear the same old broken promises to train passengers. And all this, as we said before, in the face of rail fare increases, some as high as 11%. Well, Robin Gisby from Network Rail joins us now from Euston this morning. Good morning to you. What's gone wrong?
Morning. Well, we had a very ambitious programme over Christmas and we got it wrong. I can only repeat the apologies I gave out yesterday. Liverpool Street, we didn't open on time yesterday morning. We got some of it back yesterday afternoon. I said yesterday we'd have it fully open this morning, and we have. I also said yesterday the problems at Rugby regrettably would continue today, and they will. People will get through, but like your traveller just a moment ago, they will have to transfer to buses. The work overnight at Rugby has gone much better. We put a lot more resources into that over the last couple of days, and we are planning to get that back at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning, and this dreadful episode can be behind us. What we've done to passengers and rail freight users here is quite unacceptable. What I want to understand is exactly why it happened. We've got an awful lot more work to do on the railway. People want us to expand it and develop it, and I don't want to keep doing it in a way that disrupts people just as badly as we have done here.
No, so you're sorry, you regret it, you admit it's gone wrong. Problem is, though, is that we pay people like you a lot of money. I mean, some of the salaries that are in the papers today are huge. I'm not saying yours is one of them. Pay a lot of people to get it right, don't we? This has been coming for a long time. It's great that the work's being done, but it shouldn't have gone wrong, not to this scale.
No, it shouldn't have. As I said earlier, it shouldn't have gone wrong. We did a lot of other work across the network this Christmas and New Year. That's the best time, actually, for us to do it. Places like Liverpool Street handle more than twice the volume that Heathrow handles, and we do that in a relatively narrow time of the rush hour. So regrettably, doing it at weekends, doing it over holidays is the best time to do it, because actually it's quietest. But I think in the future more people are going to want to use the railways. They're going to want to use them at weekends. They are going to want to use them at bank holidays and Christmas, New Year shutdowns, and that's why we've got to invest. We've got to expand the railway. We've got to make sure that we can work on it, we can develop it, while continuing to put people in trains. Tipping them out and putting in the buses just isn't good enough.
You're talking about wanting to know what went wrong, and it doesn't give us an awful lot of confidence that it won't happen again. Now, the problems at Rugby have obviously added a lot to the sort of the figures of delays, but even before that, we're talking about 150,000 passenger hours of delays in the last financial year. That's 17.1 years of delays that people have had to face.
Numbers lots of different ways. We do run 20,000 trains a day. So you could scale that up for 1 or 2 minutes delay per train. Average delays have got much better.
Are you happy with that figure
in the
then? Are
last
you
2 or 3
happy
years.
that people have to face those delays? Is that an acceptable level in your view then?
I'm happy. I'm very happy that we've seen 40% growth on the railways. I'm very happy that we see future expansion in the railways. And I'm happy that we have the funding and the plan to continue to develop the railways. I'm deeply unhappy, and I do understand people's anger and frustration, that we've mucked them about very badly in the last couple of days. I'm the operations director. My job is to run trains, and that's what I want to do, and I can't do that this morning at Rugby. I do expect to be able to do that in the morning. We have got on top of the problems at Rugby in the last couple of days. We have put a lot more resources in there, and we will get this thing fixed. Then we'll understand in detail exactly what went wrong, because with the programmes we've got over the next 2 or 3 years, we must continue to invest and develop the railways. That's what I want to do. I think that's what everybody expects of us. But they don't want us to continue to do it in the way, as I say, we've disrupted people in the last couple of days.
No, indeed.
That's what I've got to
you're
sort out.
expecting and hoping that it's going to be sorted by 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. What will you do if it's not?
I'm expecting rather than hoping.
OK, what happens if it's not sorted by 5? Because obviously, you know, we might give you a call round about then.
I'm sure you'll give me a call in the morning, but I say I'm expecting it to be open at 5 o'clock in the morning.
All right, well, let's hope it is for all our sakes. And it is great that the work is going into it, as you said. Good to speak to you this morning. Do let us know how your journey is going and what you make or think of the rail service in general, or by texting us on 67890. You know, good and bad. We're not here to knock those that are working hard on the railways. Text costs 25 pence plus your standard network charge. Terms and conditions can be found at www.gm.tv/terms, and text may also appear on our website.
Now then, coming up after 8 o'clock, the drastic step taken by 3 sisters to reduce their chances of getting breast cancer, which unfortunately killed their mother.
And up next, Christopher Biggins is back. We'll be talking all things telly with him in a moment. See you in a bit.
Pick of the Day is brought to you by new Lotus Orbis tissues. Crush the tissue. Release the vapours.
Biggins is in, and look, news that ITV is shaking up the Sunday, Saturday schedules.
I know. I mean, I think it's quite a good idea, actually, because I think it's a good idea to bring back entertainment on a Saturday and Sunday night. Well, Sunday night, really.
So what have they decided to do?
Well, they're going to move Emmerdale to, I think, Tuesday nights, and it's going to be an hour special. And then I think that means that Coronation Street will be moved as well. So the soaps will really only go from Monday to Friday.
So no soaps on the weekend?
No soaps on the weekend.
A lot of people will really miss that, though, won't they?
I suppose they will, but I think if they can get it right and put in good drama, ITV, and good variety shows, you know, I'm sure, like the ice skating show will go on a Sunday night now, or the results will. So that'll be good, I think.
Maybe that's a sort of a consequence of Strictly splitting the results.
Strictly Sunday night,
Saturday.
did thrash Emmerdale, didn't it? Sorry. But it did much better in the ratings.
I like
I'm probably going to get fired now. Anyway, now there'll be a crook. Yank me off the sofa.
But it worked, didn't it? Putting that on the Sunday night
yeah, it
worked.
did. So maybe they've looked at it.
And also they're going to bring back the 10 o'clock news too. That's coming back. So I think they're doing a big shake-up, ITV, which I think is good. I think they need to.
Sort of going back to how it was. OK, so let's talk about tonight. Then 9 o'clock, ITV1 Cold Blood.
Cold Blood. Now, last Saturday, I went to Southampton to see The Wizard of Oz with Matthew Kelly in it.
Right.
And Matthew Kelly then, he was brilliant, by the way, as the Wicked Witch. Absolutely very, very funny indeed. With Gary Wilmot and Russ Abbott playing the
How many pantos do you see of a panto season?
Well, never, ever, any, because I'm always working. So this year...
So you went on a rampage?
Yes, I'm doing about 12. It's very exciting to see mates working twice a day. It's wonderful.
How scary must it be to see you in the front row if you're a cast member of a panto?
Pretty grim, I think. And also, everyone knows my laugh, and if I don't laugh, they think, oh, my God, what's he... You know. But anyway...
Do you join in? Do you the It's Behind
You? Oh, my
you?
God, of course I do. Yes, I come out horse. Not on a horse, but horse. No, but anyway, so Matthew told me that he, you know, and this is going to be, I don't know, I'm giving anything away, this is going to be his last one. I mean, he actually dies in this one.
No!
And so it's going to be very, very exciting indeed. We've got a clip here with John Hannah and Gemma Redgrave, who are, of course, wonderful actors as well. Yeah. And this will be interesting to see what happens here.
Is there some sort of message there?
Well, it's got nothing to do with religion. He just wants to crucify me.
What if it's all misdirection?
He could have been in contact with anyone. We all chasing around after Barbara. I mean, Brian tried to kill her. Yeah, but she's obsessed with him, and now that he's dying...
This is the last chance she has to get back in his affections.
And to that end, there's nothing she won't do.
Great series.
It is, and I think it's wonderful that a comic actor like Matthew Kelly gets a chance to play, the wonderful serial killer.
Because initially, the first time, I thought, oh, I'm not sure, because I'm used to seeing him being comic. But then
And being a presenter as well, he became a huge presenter.
Yeah.
And of course, there's some cooking going on. BBC Two, 8 o'clock, the Hairy Bikers coming home.
They are, and of course, they're great characters, and I think it's a good show, so I think not to be missed.
8 o'clock tonight. Biggins, thank you very much. We're going to talk to you again a little bit later on.
It's a pleasure, as always.
Marvellous.
Are you going to be able to squeeze a panto in between now and...
Yes, I'm going to tonight. I'm going to Guildford tonight.
Guildford tonight?
See my friend Lisa Goddard.
Relentless,
Wonderful.
isn't it?
Relentless. God, how good I am.
You are.
Absolutely.
The best.
Oh, yes, I am.
He's great, isn't he? Marvellous. Claire's had a bit of snow lurking behind her all day. Have you actually found... There you go. You see, it is behind you.
We've got 36 hours of snow in some places
Have
for
you?
the next day and a half. Yes, we have. It's bitter wherever you are. So even if you're not seeing any snow, certainly it's going to feel more like -10 than 1 degree Celsius day. Let's take a look.
GMTV weather, sponsored by Nestle cereals. Whole grain for the whole family every morning.
So most of us seeing some snow over the next 36 hours. I think the heaviest falls will always be across central and eastern areas of Scotland, southeast Scotland, northeast England. Even further south, though, expect a light dusting, maybe a little bit more across places such as Lincolnshire and Yorkshire. And we can really see this well on the radar already. As you can see, we've got a rash of snow showers moving across from the North Sea, where they're falling as rain and clipping this eastern side of Scotland. Actually, because of the wind, moving further west as well and down this eastern strip of the country. In fact, we do have a TV crew for you this morning in Durham, where it has been snowing on and off for the last 3 hours. Take a look at this. It does actually show how bad the snow can be. Poor visibility and very slippery underfoot if you're heading out this morning. Remember, the situation is likely to get worse before it gets better, because the snow showers, particularly on this area here, are likely to become more heavy and more frequent, continuing into this evening. But you can see the cathedral right in the background there. Lovely, isn't it? Anyway, let's have a look and see what's happening elsewhere. It's a bright start to the day across Northern Ireland, Western Scotland, Northwest England. Make the most of the sunshine. I think we could see more cloud through the afternoon. Currently, we have an area of cloud and rain just moving up from the south. It's rain at the moment, but as it hits the cold air, it's likely to turn to snow. Winds are strong wherever you are. So, as I said, wind chill factor will be an issue today. If you're heading out, remember to wrap up warm. And particularly for this eastern side of Scotland, central Scotland, I think the situation is going to get very tricky later on as we see sort of 2, 3, 4 inches of snowfall. To the west, though, that's where it will be best, 4 or 5 degrees Celsius. As you can see, those snow showers extending right the way down Scotland. Central Lowland seeing some coming across towards Glasgow, and I'd say northwest England getting away with some drier weather. Anywhere from Northumberland down to Yorkshire, and I think even places such as Lincolnshire seeing those snow showers later on. The rain moves up anywhere from, I'd say, 3 o'clock Essex, Oxfordshire, South Wales, seeing that snow. Rain down towards the West Country, windy wherever you are. Much of Wales, though, getting away with it this afternoon, as well as the West Midlands. And as you can see, for Northern Ireland, some snow flurries here, but to the west, that's where you will see some sunshine, but that's where the lowest temperatures will be. As we can see here, snow showers continuing across eastern England as well as eastern Scotland tonight, fog in the south, and this is how we see tomorrow. And a slow improvement as the snow gradually moves up towards the Northern Isles. Here's your summary. Check out what the weather will be like this weekend on our website, gm.tv.
Good morning. Many of you waking up to snow today with the first wintry downpours of the year.
The gritters set off in the early hours to help keep the roads clear, but there's still likely to be disruption for drivers.
And I'm afraid it's no better on the railways, where there is still misery for many, and it may be no better until next week. That's all to come Thursday, the 3rd of January, 2008. Good morning, you're watching GMTV today. It is 8 o'clock. We've got more on the big news story today from Priya in just a moment.
This is the scene at Durham Cathedral for us this morning. It's been beautiful there, snowing gorgeously. It looks like it's eased a touch. We're going to be bringing you the latest on all the weather.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I'm afraid, of course, it does have rather gritty consequences, and we're at a gritting depot in Leicestershire, where work's been going on since the early hours to keep the roads free of ice and snow. Full details on the wintry weather throughout the programme.
Also this morning, we're going to be hearing from opera singer Russell Watson. Following a second bout of life-saving surgery on a brain tumour, we're going to be finding out how he's facing up to the challenges ahead.
And we meet three sisters who've taken pretty drastic action to avoid getting breast cancer, which claim the lives of another sister and their mum.
We're hearing their story in a short while. First, though, we're going to get the news. Here's Priya.
Thank you, Ben. Yes, our top story at just after 8 o'clock. Drivers are being advised to prepare for hazardous conditions this morning, with snow and freezing temperatures forecast for much of the country. The Highways Agency is preparing a fleet of gritters to treat motorways and A roads. Well, Matt Arnold is at a gritting depot in Leicestershire. What's going on there this morning, Matt?
Well, good morning to you, Priya. They'll be very busy around here. I'm at Leicester Forest East, just alongside the M1, and there's no better indication that snow is forecast when you see these things bolted onto the front of the gritting lorries. The snow ploughs are out, and that's because the Met Office has been forecasting in snow, and it's worse if you're living in Scotland or the extreme north of England. A 60% chance, according to the Met Office there. And these pictures in from early this morning, the first snowfall falling in County Durham. Just to make the point, it looks very pretty, but of course it's not so good if you have to go out driving in it. For the rest of the country, well, take a split either side of the M1 motorway. If you're on the east side of the country, a 40% chance of snow. That's right the way down to London and the southeast. And if you're on the west side, a reduced chance, just 20%. The Met Office are forecasting there as the chance that snow will fall. The gritters are out nationally. The Highways Agency have 500 available. Each of these lorries has 11.25 tons of salt on board. That's 9 cubic metres, and enough apparently to cover a 3-lane motorway for a 50-mile stretch. So better not get stuck behind one. Priya.
Let's hope not. Thank you, Matt. In Kenya, water cannons have been used on protesters gathering at a banned opposition rally in the capital, Nairobi. There are concerns that the violence there could escalate. The Foreign Office has warned against all non-essential travel to the country. Sue Jameson has sent this report from Nairobi.
This has been described to me as make or break day. There are up to 1 million supporters of the opposition leader Raila Odinga who are massing about 2 or 3 kilometres in that direction. They're hoping to come into the city to a park where they're going to hold a protest rally. Now, I've seen this morning hundreds of armed police and these GSUs, General Service Units, waiting for them all down the main road, but also back there in the Kibera area, which is one of the strongholds of Odinga. Again, you have mass forces there. Already they have used a water cannon on protesters today to try and keep them away. Tear gas has been used as well. And just to give you an idea of perhaps some of the desperation that ordinary Kenyans are feeling with the potential clashes, both the newspapers this morning have this headline, "Save Our Beloved Country," and they're urging both the president and also the opposition leader to come together to start talking so that this doesn't descend into total chaos. Meanwhile, for the 7,000 British people living here, the Foreign Office has updated its advice, saying to stay away from any of these rallies, to stay indoors and no non-essential travel. Back to you.
Sue Jameson in Nairobi. The race for the White House begins today in the American state of Iowa. Voters there will decide which candidates from the Republican and Democratic parties they want to run for US president. Well, Sarah Moore is in the state capital of Iowa, Des Moines, for us this morning. Hello, Sarah.
Morning, Priya. In a year, George W. Bush will move out of the White House and there'll be a new resident inside there. Who they'll be at the moment is unclear. The race is certainly on. It begins here in Iowa today, where voters will go to the polls and they'll vote for who they want to be their candidate to go for the elections in November, the candidate for the Democrats and the candidate for the Republicans. Now, the Democrat frontrunner at the moment is former First Lady Hillary Clinton. She says that her 8 years in the White House with her husband Bill gives her the experience to be president, experience that no other candidate has. But she's facing some tough competition from a younger, fresher candidate, Barack Obama. Now, he's appealing to the younger generation. He's inspiring a lot of people to go out there, people that want change in American politics, and also a lot of celebrities. He has a lot of people backing him as well. Now, the most important thing for the candidates at the moment is to get people out there to vote. The candidates are offering all kinds of things, all kinds of incentives to make sure they do that, from shovelling snow off people's driveways they may make it to the polling stations, and also offering babysitting services. So while Barack and Hillary Clinton fight out for the Democrats, the Republicans, it looks like, well, polls suggest there will be a race between Mike Huckabee or Mitt Romney. But Rudy Giuliani is also the national favourite, although he's taking a step back in Iowa and focusing on later polls instead.
The update. The rail regulator says it's launching an urgent investigation into the engineering delays on the West Coast Main Line, which threatened to disrupt commuter travel again this morning. Network Rail has admitted a shortage of staff is to blame for the problems and may now be fined. Well, Jackie Kabler is at Birmingham International. Good morning, Jackie.
Good morning. Virgin Trains saying to passengers again today, probably not worth your while trying to travel because there are so many problems. They've described this as a fiasco, and it is of course all due to those works on the West Coast Main Line, engineering works which have now overrun for the 4th consecutive day, causing chaos on the line between Coventry, Northampton and Milton Keynes, with huge knock-on effects around the country. Passengers yesterday talking about nightmare journeys extended by 2, 3, 4 hours, having to get on buses to get to their destinations, and very few trains running at all. Now, Network Rail have said that it's due to a shortage of staff, and earlier on GMTV, Robin Gisby said that he accepted full responsibility for the chaos.
What we've done to passengers and rail freight users here is quite unacceptable. What I want to understand is exactly why it happened. We've got an awful lot more work to do on the railway. People want us to expand it and develop it, and I don't want to keep doing it in a way that disrupts people just as badly as we have done here.
Well, the rail regulator has now launched a full investigation into what's going on, and Network Rail could face a hefty fine over what's going on the West Coast Main Line, but also Liverpool Street Station in London, which was closed yesterday, again due to overrunning engineering works, and which is still partially closed today. It will also be investigated in the House of Commons when they all return from their break next week. Labour MP Louise Ellman saying she wants an explanation and a full apology. Network Rail still refusing to comment on some reports, though, that the thing may not be sorted fully until Monday next week, Priya.
More disruption ahead. Thank you, Jackie. The missing data scandal may be much worse than the government's admitted, according to a group of MPs. A report by the Commons Justice Committee warns that the massive security breach at Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs wasn't an isolated case, and it's now calling for government departments to be held criminally responsible for data protection breaches. Christmas overspending will lead to record levels of debt this year. Accountants predict that around 120,000 people will be declared insolvent this year after splashing out over the festive season. Figures show that many shoppers were tempted by discounts online and on the high street. Meanwhile, the record price of oil, now trading at $100 a barrel, means that UK motorists are facing the highest ever prices at the pump. Filling a typical 50-litre tank now costs £7.36 more than a year ago, according to the AA. Let's have a look at what's on our website this morning. Discover the top 10 overseas property hotspots for 2008. Are you happy with your body shape? Take part in our New Year lifestyle survey. And we reveal what you're most likely to leave behind in a hotel room. All that and more on the GMTV website, gm.tv. Just gone 9 minutes past 8. Back to Ben and Kate.
Thank you very much. Now, you've been texting and emailing us about the rail network chaos that's been going on for the last few days. Tell us how you've been coping and what you think of it. Interesting split in people's reactions. Mark from Welling makes a good point. What's the point of the railway expanding when they can't even manage the network as it is?
I suppose what they're trying to do is expand the space on the track, aren't they? Make it work more efficiently, to be fair, but, you know...
Doesn't seem like it's working.
It doesn't seem like it's working at all. My wife catches a train from Warminster to Bristol. It's delayed almost on a daily basis. Her monthly train ticket has gone up by £20 as well today.
So frustrating.
Some people saying, though, that, you know, be kind to the people who are actually doing the work. I think the rowers are doing a job. They have to work very hard. And Leslie in Liverpool says, my husband worked all the way through Christmas. He was working day and night. He works on the railway. So they are trying, honestly.
Yeah, do keep them coming in, gm.tv. We'd love to hear what you think of this situation and whether you think it actually get resolved. And, of course, our thoughts are with all those people that are desperately working to try and get it sorted. It's not their fault.
No, exactly.
We're going to find out what's happening where you are this morning.
Thanks, Ben. Good morning. The main stories here in the northwest.
Former Manchester City star Joey Barton is back in court later this morning, charged with assault and affray. The Newcastle and England footballer will appear before Liverpool magistrates via video link from Walton Jail, having spent Christmas and New Year in custody. He's been charged in connection with an incident outside a McDonald's in Liverpool city centre. A murder investigation's underway after a man died in South Manchester. Police were called to a house on St Brendan's Road in Withington last night, where they found the victim. He was taken to hospital but was pronounced dead on arrival. 2 men aged 34 and 56 have been arrested. It's another day of delays and disruption on the West Coast main line, with no direct trains between the North West and London for a 4th successive day. The work at Rugby should have finished before New Year's Eve, but has overrun. It's left Network Rail, who are responsible for the upkeep of the track, facing a hefty fine. Commuters will have to continue to use buses for part of the route. The 30th anniversary of the world's first test tube baby, who was born at a hospital in Oldham, is being marked this week. Louise Brown was delivered at Oldham General in 1978. She's since given birth to her own son in 2006. And one of the scientists who made it possible has opened a new IVF laboratory at St Mary's Hospital in Manchester.
Doctors, scientists, nurses, we've all worked together as a team. And here now I can see the facilities you've offered to keep this practice going, with plenty of staff and also the right conditions where they all can work together.
Bolton Wanderers striker El Hadj Diouf is launching his own charity to help disadvantaged children. The Diouf Foundation will work with youngsters here in the UK and in Senegal, where the player was born. The striker says he wants to repay some of the help he received in Africa as a youngster. In last night's football, Manchester City moved into the Premier League top 4 with a 2-0 win at Newcastle United. They replaced Liverpool, who could only manage a 1-1 draw at home to Wigan. Bolton beat Derby 1-0, while Blackburn overcame Sunderland by the same score. That's it for now. I'm back just after 11 during this morning. In a moment, we'll return to Ben and Kate. But first, a look at the region's weather. And don't forget, if you have any pictures of snow or frost this morning, then please send them to us.
Pantene Pro V Winter Rescue, forecasting a great hair day, whatever the weather. Sponsors of GMTV Weather.
A dry morning and afternoon, but the chance of some snow flurries. Temperatures of 2 degrees Celsius, 36 Fahrenheit.
30 minutes past 8, you're watching GMTV Today. Good to see you this Thursday morning. Now, here's a question for you. How far would you go to protect yourself from cancer? Well, after watching their mother and their sister die of breast cancer, 3 sisters have taken the drastic step of having their breast removed as a preventative measure. I'm going to be speaking to them in just a moment, but first here's Anna Thomas on how their lives have been affected by the disease.
Mandy, Christine and Susan have lived with the spectre of cancer since their teens. They watched their mother, Kathleen, fight breast cancer for 4 years, until her death in 1980. She was just 46. 2 years later, their father, Frank, died from lung cancer. Then in 1994, tragedy struck again. Their sister, Angela, was diagnosed with breast cancer at just 32. 2 years later, she died. In October 2003, Christine was told she too had breast cancer. She had a double mastectomy followed by intensive radiotherapy and chemotherapy. It was then that Mandy and Susan took the drastic decision to have total mastectomies without ever being diagnosed with cancer. And now, sisters with a unique bond, they're all looking forward to a fearless future.
Well, we're joined now by Mandy McSwiggan, Christine Creasy and Susan Chobin, all sisters. Good to see all of you this morning. It sounds drastic, but I think when we hear your story, we can see the thinking behind it. Now, you, Christine, you have had breast cancer, haven't you?
Yes.
So, Mum died of breast cancer, sister died of breast cancer, Dad died of lung cancer, and then, horror of horrors, you found a lump too.
Yes, I did. October 2003, found a lump in my breast and went into panic mode, and I was in Bristol actually working, and I just got in the car, drove up to my GP, and he just said, you know, I don't know, I'm not going to say it is, Chris, but we need to get it checked out. And it was.
Gosh, and you'd feared this, hadn't you, for a long time beforehand?
I had feared it all my life, actually, till I sort of realised what cancer was. And even to the extent of when I had my little boy, I had ended up with a year suffering with postnatal depression about it and ended up in hospital.
It's because you just were so concerned because you'd seen what had happened to your mum and sister and people in your family all the way
and
along.
my father, yeah.
So you took on the cancer, as it were, and fought it. And how are you doing now?
I've just finished, I had an operation in October and finished chemotherapy in August, and I'm now on Herceptin for, I don't know how long I'm going to be taking that, but that's a good preventative to help it stop it coming back again.
And so you had it. You now have had a double mastectomy, haven't you? Too.
I've had, yeah, double mastectomy. My ovaries removed and the left lobe of my liver and nodes.
Because you fear that things could have spread.
Yeah.
So you two have obviously, see Susan, Wendy, you've obviously seen a lot of sadness, a lot of people suffer with the disease, including Christine sitting next to you. So when did you think, right, we're going to do this, even though we have had no evidence of cancer in our bodies, we're going to go and have mastectomies?
I think the anxiety that comes with breast cancer and any form of cancer was too much to bear, really. And as you say, as we've seen people suffer with it, we just went to our GPs and said, is there anything we can do? And luckily they were very informative and said, yes, you could consider this, but it's a radical decision. But you don't just take that decision overnight. It was done over quite a few months after speaking to doctors, nurses and psychologists. But personally for me, I think it was the right thing to do. I'm glad that we've done it.
Yeah, and would you agree with that as well?
Absolutely, yeah.
Was it easier because the two of you were probably going to go through this together? Did you sit down and talk about it as a team?
Yeah, we did. It was quite surreal, really, because with the first stage of the operation, we were together in the hospital. And I went the day before you, didn't I? And Mandy came in the day after. And then it was kind of really weird and strange that we'd done this. And but it was great there to have the support of each other. So. And
imagine a sort of a relief with the spectre of this cancer has been lifted in a way because it's something you'd all been living with for such a long time.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Do you feel free from the worry now?
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
And I suppose for those that may be going through it either because they want to have preventative surgery or because they have to have the surgery like Christine did, the wonderful thing is that you can have reconstructive surgery now and there's so much that can be done, isn't there?
Yeah, with us, I mean, it's done at 2 stages. You go in your first stage and then you just go back 6 months later with your second stage and that's it all done, really. So 2 weeks of surgery and then that's it. So it was quite easy, really, in the end.
Do you think that more work should be done to look at the genetic link between cancer in families? Because it's certainly blighted yours, hasn't it?
There is quite a lot of work being done at the Royal Marsden, and as soon as my sister Angie got cancer, we were put on the genetic programme, and we have been tested. My blood's been tested, but they can't find any link at the moment of any. No, they said there's probably genes out there that they haven't discovered yet.
Science hasn't quite caught up with yet.
No.
What would you say to people that perhaps had breast cancer in their family? What would you advise them to do? Perhaps yours might be sort of the drastic end of it, of the action, if you like. But what would you say to people to do?
I think it would depend on how much it affects them present in their life. If they're cancer-free, but they have it in their family and it's really taking up time and thought, then maybe go to their GP and discuss it and see what's available to help them get through it.
And there's a positive outcome because you're all, you feel happy and worry-free and you're on the mend.
Yes.
Good. Well, wish you luck with your continuing, recovery.
Thank you.
Health, and it's great to talk to all of you this morning.
Thank you.
You can get all the essential facts that you need and information about breast cancer, including a symptoms checker, which is vitally important, of course, on our website, gm.tv. Thanks very much indeed. Thank you. Glamorous group of sisters.
Aren't they just?
I know,
Great,
I know.
this time in the morning. We're talking about Russell Watson in the next half an hour. He's recovering from surgery to remove a brain tumour, but how risky is the radiotherapy he's about to undergo? 5 weeks, 5 days a week is what he's got to suffer, but fingers crossed he'll get him well.
Yeah, and the big guns of the American chat show are back, complete with the jokes. They've had that strike, haven't they?
Yeah,
the writers' strike, so it's been a bit dull over in America. Fortunately, you haven't had to worry about that, because, as you might guess, no one writes ours. But were they any good now the chat shows are back? Have a look.
Ladies and gentlemen, 2 long months, but by God, I'm finally out of rehab.
Still got it. And we're going to be live to Los Angeles for all the latest after the break.
Welcome to Planet U. Your intestines, to be precise. Here are some of the 100 trillion bacteria that call this 24-foot ecosystem home. These friendly lactobacillus casei shirota are found in Yakult and have been proven by our scientists to help the beneficial bacteria multiply and thrive. A healthy gut makes for stronger natural defences. Yakult, taking care of Planet You.
Across Europe, sunshine and high temperatures are sweeping across the Med, from the Greek islands through Italy, Spain and Portugal. In the south of France, the forecast is looking beautiful, as are the people. Over to the east, you'll experience some seriously cool spells, here, here and here, while over here, it can get very hot. And you can find flights from just $19.99, including taxes, here and here.
So with 42 destinations this summer, including Crete, Cyprus and Madrid, wherever you want to go, chances are we go there. Jet2.com. Low fares to 42 destinations.
She's back! Get ready for a real workout with Nell McAndrew's brand new DVD, Cardio, Core and Stretch. Shape up with this high-energy, easy-to-follow, effective workout. Get fit in 2008 by Nell McAndrew's Cardio, Core and Stretch on DVD now.
It is said that the universe is in a delicate state of spiritual balance. If you find yourself injured and it's someone else's fault, you can either say it's fate, an unavoidable destination on the journey of my life. Or you can say, I absolutely did not deserve that, and call injury lawyers for you on 0845 345 4444. They're real lawyers who specialise in getting you the exact amount of compensation you deserve, 100% of it. So, with their help, universal balance is restored. Call injury lawyers for you now on 0845 345 4444.
The Queen of Fitness returns with a brand new DVD, Davina High Energy 5.
Welcome to my 5 high energy workouts.
5 intensive routines to help you tone up and get fit.
Goodbye, bingo wings.
Davina High Energy 5, out now on DVD.
Take one Moban kitchen designer, a free design appointment, and half price on all kitchens. And voila! You got a sale on. The Moban half price sale, now serving at all our showrooms across the UK. Moban, let's make a better kitchen.
Dry, cracked lips? Medicated Blistex Relief Cream leaves lips soft and healthy looking. Blistex Relief Cream, beautiful healing.
Here, take a look at this. A Belling electric cooker with double oven and ceramic hob for only $399.99.
42 sun, city and ski destinations from the north, from only $19.99 including taxes. Jet2.com. Low fares to 42 destinations.
It's time for great escapes with GMTV. Prepare to be whisked away to 5 amazing destinations with your celebrity tour guides. So take in the sights and sample the delights of hotspots from around the world, starting with Cuba. Great Escapes, new for 2008 on GMTV.
GMTV weather, sponsored by Nestle Cereals. Whole grain for the whole family every morning.
Hello, good morning. It's been snowing across some parts of the country this morning. We have a TV crew for you this morning in Durham, which it looks absolutely stunning. It really does. It's still snowing there, off and on through the one. It's the cathedral behind me there. Looking really nice, but actually the weather is going to get worse before it gets better. Not only here in Durham, but across the eastern side of the country. That's where the worst of the weather is likely to be. And the reason why, well, we have snow showers coming in from the North Sea, giving up to 10 centimetres snow, particularly across central and eastern areas of Scotland, and even further south we're expecting a dusting across much of England and Wales. So that's the picture for the next 24 hours or so. It could get worse actually across central and eastern areas of the country. And the reason why, well, let's have a look here. We've got rain showers across to the North Sea as they move in and hitting the very cold air they're turning to snow, and they are going to become more frequent and heavy. So the picture this morning, brighter weather in the west, showers in the east. Further south we're seeing cloud and rain. That's slowly going to be moving its way northwards, and again, because the air is so cold across England and Wales, it's going to turn to snow. So we could see a light dusting, particularly places such as Oxfordshire, Essex, southwards down towards the south coast of Wales. Further north then, well, for the northwest, that's where it's going to remain dry, although you could see more cloud later on, and the showers will really penetrate inland through the afternoon because the wind is so strong. So despite the fact we're saying temperatures between 0 and 4 degrees Celsius, it's going to feel more like, I'd say, -10 in places because of that wind chill factor. And then tonight, showers slowly move their way northwards, and tomorrow slowly easing. You too.
Thank you very much indeed.
Pleasure.
We were expecting a summary.
No, not a 8:30.
Silly me.
Not a summary with those wintry snow showers.
Don't need them. It's just a dusting.
Just a dusting. We're with you on GMTV today until 9:25. We could still be talking about the summary come that time. Still to come, the latest on opera singer Russell Watson. Poor thing, he's been so brave, and he runs the risk now of damaging his eyesight with a gruelling course of radiotherapy. He's trying to tackle the recurrence of a brain tumour. We're hearing from him in 10 minutes' time. He's still really positive, though.
Yeah, absolutely. We talked about diets and detoxing yesterday, and it certainly struck a chord with most of you. One of our viewers, Wendy Humphreys, she got in contact with us. She's desperate to lose weight for her wedding, and she's going to be here for some help from our nutritionist Karen Devine a little bit later on.
And Van Tramp, they're singing their new single For Us Too. So, snow and freezing temperatures are being forecast for much of the country. So will Britain keep moving despite the predicted snowfall? Well, Matt Arnold's in Leicestershire at a gritting depot designed to do just that. Good morning to you, Matt.
Well, good morning to you. Yeah, we're just alongside the M1 here at Leicester Forest East. This one's pulled in, ready for a fill-up now. I think Lee's on the far side. Let's go and have a look. That is indeed what the salt looks like going in. Quite noisy stuff, but it's apparently doing its job this morning, and to prove it, well, we've got Mick. You've been out this morning already.
We have, yes.
What's it looking like out there?
Everything's fine. Roads are clear.
Not too bad then?
Not at all.
Well, that's certainly the case around here, but of course that's not been the situation right across the country, because the Met Office have been forecasting snow. A 60% chance if you're in Scotland or the north of England. For the rest of the country, well, there's a split either side of the M1 really. If you're on the east side of the country, a 40% chance according to the Met Office of getting some snow. That's right down to London and the southeast as well. And if you're on the west side, a reduced chance, just 20%. Now the gritters here, I've been here since 5 o'clock. They've been out several times. There's 24 gritters covering the Warwickshire, Staffordshire and Leicestershire area. But let's take a sample look at some of the picture nationally as well. Over in Lincolnshire, 43 gritters are out there, and they also have the benefit of 10 24/7 weather stations to keep them updated with the latest information. In South Yorkshire, in Barnsley, 12 gritters out there from Barnsley Council, and they've got 5 road sensors on the road to keep them spot on with where the snow is expected. And down in the southwest, 875 miles of A and B roads there, so they're the ones that really cause the damage when the snow does hit on a cold snap. They've stockpiled 10,000 tonnes of salt to be ready for it down in the southwest. Now, talking to Steve Edwards here, back live in front of your snowplough.
Yeah, ready, here we are.
Well, you're not needing it around here, but there clearly will be in other parts of the country this morning.
Could come later this afternoon, so we are prepared.
OK, now, everybody remembers 5 years ago in January, in the financial institutions and the money markets, we always have a black day of the week. It was White Friday in your business, particularly around the M11 and the M25, as I recall. Horrendous. Now, I think on that time, you got it wrong, didn't you? You gritted at the wrong time. There's been improvements, so why are we going to get it right this time from here on in?
We're a lot more prepared now than we have been before. It's things that we've done since then. For example, we now have people at the Met Office working directly with us. They can give us early reports about weather which is coming in. We then make sure that our contractors have the machines ready, as you've seen here, fully salted up, ready to go out on the network. On the technology front...
Yeah, because I just mentioned things like a road sensor. Yeah, well, nobody knows what that means. So what's a road sensor?
Yeah, well, it actually is out there in the road surface, and it can measure the temperature of the road. Now, we do get little pockets where ice can form. Now, these sensors will tell us what the temperature is of the road. It can then send the gritters out there to actually salt just in particular areas. That helps the environment, of course, because we're not having to use as much salt.
OK. On a lighter note, you had a survey out which saying women were less likely to come a cropper when it came to the icy conditions. Why?
Why? Well, I don't know why that was actually the case, but the facts were that when the survey came back, 60% of the women and only 40% of the men would take notice of what our reports were giving out.
So ultimately they were more sensible.
I wouldn't say they were more sensible, it's just what came back from the survey.
Oh.
Now, the message I would like to get across here...
Just quickly, if you would.
Yes, I know you were with the AA yesterday, but they should have warm clothing with them, water, food, a mobile phone if possible, and most importantly, make sure that the vehicle is fully fuelled.
Steve, thanks so much for having us here this morning. You've done a grand job. Let's hope it doesn't get too chilly out there. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks very much indeed, Matt. That's so true, isn't it, what they were saying there, Ben?
Wasn't listening, Kate.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point. They're just saying that women listen, men don't. Lots of advice on keeping safe in your car and warm in your home on our website, gm.tv. Come on, you've got to admit that was good.
There's only so much you can listen to. Do you know what? We all have our limits. I'm just full. I'm full of your voice. OK, now then, time is 20 minutes to 9. It was in October that opera star Russell Watson had an operation to remove a brain tumour. And you may remember that we talked to Russell last month when he left hospital. Well, it now seems that he runs the risk of damaging his eyesight as he's got to face a gruelling course of radiotherapy.
It was a strange new year this year, 08. Happy New Year. In for my radiotherapy on the 2nd of January, but you know, it's a great hospital, the Christie. It's 5 weeks solid, 5 days a week. So it's pretty intense. But you know, if those 5 weeks go as quick as last year did, then it should seem like a blink. Last time it happened, it was a big wake-up call for me, and I've become aware of all sorts of different things, like who's important in your life and what's important in your life. Very poignant this year as well, and with my 2 girls there, I got a bit weepy on Christmas Day. I think as a human being, if you're going through anything like this, you've got to have something to aim for, and you've got to believe that you're going to be all right.
Typically resilient as ever. Hillary's with us now. It seems like this radiotherapy, I mean, he was making sort of light of it in a way, but it seems like a very aggressive form of treatment. Is that standard procedure?
It's often standard treatment. It's used in 2 ways, radiotherapy. It's either used as an insurance policy after surgery to mop up any cells that have been missed or are still remaining, or it's used as a treatment in itself to reach projections of the tumour that surgery is impossible to use. Remember that within the skull, within the brain tissue, it's all nerve tissue, so the more you cut with surgical blades, the more damage you do, the more collateral damage you do. So in some ways, radiotherapy is a gentler procedure whereby you preserve healthy nerves whilst destroying, hopefully, the tumour tissue.
In terms of the risk to his eyesight as well, how high is that risk?
It's considerable, because the optic nerves at the back of the eye converge together around the pituitary gland, and because they're in this close proximity, radiotherapy can have a damaging effect on those optic nerves at that point where they converge, and it is possible to get eyesight damage or even blindness as a result of the therapy. But of course, if you're dealing with a potentially life-threatening tumour of the brain, it is a price that you have to pay sometimes in order to be cured.
It seems extraordinary, because it wasn't that long ago when he overcame the first tumour and he released a single, and the second tumour seemed to come out of nowhere.
What sometimes happens with the more benign brain tumours, which we call meningiomas, and I don't know what type Russell has, but assuming it's one of the more benign types, we talk about benign brain tumours. None of them are benign really, because they are in this enclosed space within the skull, and they can compress healthy areas of the brain around it. But you would hope to remove it all surgically the first time, but if that isn't possible, or what is left becomes more aggressive in its behaviour, then you have to have either recurrent surgery or radiotherapy, or both, which is the case with Russell.
And typically, in terms of potential for his singing career, which is how we've all come to know and love Russell, is there any reason you think that potentially his voice could be damaged from this?
His voice, no. I mean, he is a profoundly disciplined, artist, and he will have. He's already got tremendous courage, and in the best case scenario, he'll come through this with no complications, and the thing will be cured. And we all hope so very much. I think that with radiotherapy, the complications are unpredictable. You can get fibrosis or scarring of healthy tissue around the tumour. So even if you destroy the tumour completely, there is a risk of headaches, of nausea, of memory loss, of concentration problems. But fingers crossed, he'll be able to get rid of this once and for all, and his singing career can be resumed. But there is a small risk that, you know, it will affect him in ways, subtle ways, which will take the edge off that.
Yeah.
And let's hope it doesn't, because he's obviously passionate about his music, and we all love it too.
Absolutely, it's who he is, isn't it? Hilary, thank you very much.
Thanks,
and our
Ben.
thoughts are very much with Russell and his family this morning. You know, best of luck with that therapy, Russell.
He's so brave and so positive about it, which is fantastic.
Always.
But,
I think it's a good standpoint as well. I think sort of
Yeah.
positivity.
It's very important.
Is an important
very
thing,
important.
isn't it?
And he's got that in bundles. So good luck to him.
Yeah, we know all his fans are right behind him. They always call us about it. So lots of love to you, Russell. Now, they count Hugh Grant, Robert Plant and actor Owen Wilson among their fans. So are you a Van fan yet? Talking about Van Tramp, who's singing for us next.
And we're also going to be meeting Wendy Humphries, one of the hundreds of women who contacted us yesterday for help after our Shape Up for 2008 chat. She wants to lose a bit of weight before her wedding, and we're going to help her out. See you in a bit.
Hi, I don't know if you remember yesterday, we were talking about getting fit for the new year. Slightly depressing, isn't it? Back at work, putting away the chocolates, getting on with being healthy. But you were all thinking like we were, that we had to get round to it because we had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of emails and texts from you at home saying, help, I've got to do something about the spread and the bulges. And one of the people who contacted us, we read out her story on air, actually, was Wendy Humphries. Now, you attracted our attention because you went to sort of pretty drastic measures to get fit. You've bought a wedding dress, or at least your mum has, that's 4 sizes too small. When's your wedding?
June.
Oh, goodness me, 4 sizes?
Yeah,
now,
I know.
Why did your mum do this? It seems almost a bit
more
mean.
me.
It's like dangling a carrot, isn't it?
No, it wasn't really Mum, it was me. Mum's been very helpful throughout everything. We just kept saying, we can do this.
Yeah.
You know, she's saying, you can do it, and I'm saying, yeah, I can do it. You know, and that was the reason why, and this was so gorgeous. You know,
it's a gorgeous wedding dress. I mean, we've got it draped for I have to say, Robbie, our floor manager, isn't known for his hanging of costume, but this is absolutely beautiful. You can't really see the detail that well there. It's gorgeous. You're going to look fab, whatever, but you have to get it on. That's going to be the tricky thing. So you've embarked upon a healthy eating plan, as you say. Where did you get your advice from for that?
From my GP, because I'm seeing a GP at the moment, and a consultant, because I've got a problem with my back. And
is that related to weight, do you think?
I think it hasn't helped. You know, I've been a carer for a lot of years as well, and I've done a lot of lifting and everything. I think it just, you know, it had enough.
Yeah.
So consequently, my mobility was affected. What I can think now is happening is because I'm not doing as much. You know,
the weight creeps
it hurts
up,
if I do too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now the foods that I were eating, I could have eaten 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Probably I would have lost weight, but now
it's
nothing's
not
happening.
working. Okay, well, look, we'll get you some advice
panic.
because we've got Karen Devine here as well. But let's just talk to your lovely fiancé, Sean Phillips there. Good to speak to you as well. Now, you love her as she is, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
So the pressure's not coming from you. Why do you think she wants to lose the weight for the wedding?
I just think that she wants to lose it for, obviously, for herself and for me as well. And just to obviously build her confidence back up, because she hasn't got a lot of confidence, so to build her confidence back up, and she'll probably be more happier.
Yeah, now, but I have to say, Sean, you are a fitness instructor.
Yeah.
So shouldn't you be the expert that she can go to?
Yeah, I suppose so, yeah, kind of. But it's just...
it's tricky when they're loved ones. I know I've got a friend who's
yeah.
a doctor and said he can't even put a plaster on his children.
I feel I could get away with more with him than what I probably would do somebody else.
You've been naughty, that's what it is. Look, nutritionist Karen Devine is here. Karen, you know, what have you talked to her about her diet and about what she's done so far to lose the weight? First of all, is it a realistic goal to lose that much weight by June?
I think it's realistic as long as we can actually balance a lot of the problems, the blood sugar problems that you seem to be having, because we were talking yesterday about what you are eating. And
so what sort of things she's eating? We've got a few bits and bobs here on the table. What sort of things is she doing and what should she be
Well,
doing?
at the moment, I think you're sort of eating a lot of white bread in the morning, having toast with white bread, margarine and jam, and then not eating again until mid-afternoon. Again, more white bread. And then also the timing of your next meal is probably your late meal is in the evening. And what you're doing is you're tending to have potatoes, loading up with carbohydrates. They're not being burnt, so you're just sitting there. And they, you know, when you can't burn carbs, that turns to fat really quickly. So, and also with the cycle, the vicious cycle of not being able to exercise, so you don't get that feel-good factor, which makes you feel confident about yourself. And then so you want to eat more, so you kind of just feel a bit low.
Okay, well, she's already cut out the chocolates and stuff, so she cut out the white bread and perhaps sort of some of the mashed potato late at night and all that kind of thing. What should she replace it with?
Well, I think a little bit more protein and a more sustained food through the day. So, you know, eating protein with every meal, every snack. It doesn't have to be a huge amount, but just enough. So scrambled eggs, they're great for the liver. And doing that all through the day. And actually, when you come to your evening meal, no carbs, but you have dense vegetables, which is a carb in itself. But you know, you can have like coconut chicken, for instance, with stir-fried or steamed vegetables, because coconut, in actual fact, burns fat.
Does it? How does that work?
It actually helps to break down adipose brown fat.
So chicken korma then, bit of coconut, fine.
Exactly. Or a Thai green curry. You know, but instead of having it with the brown rice, you can have it with some stir-fried veg. Or if you're having it at lunchtime, you can have a bit of brown rice, because you're going to have a bit of time to burn up those carbs.
Fascinating. Listen, you're going to have to keep in touch and let us know how you're getting on, you know. Is that all right?
Desperate. I've got to do this.
You have got to do it. Well, hopefully if you can talk some more to Karen, and I know Dr. Hulu's going to give you some sort of exercises and things that you can do, which will help the mobility. So that would be great. All right, well, good to speak to you. And keep in touch. We want to come to that wedding and see you in that gorgeous dress.
You need a new hat.
Thanks very much indeed. Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
Cheers, Ben.
That's Kate Now, they've been described as great by rock legend Robert Plant. Owen Wilson is a huge fan. They're rockers Van Tramp, and they hear the single is out at the end of January, or you can get it to download. We'll talk about that in a bit. But it's lovely to see you guys this morning. Thank you very much for coming in. I know you've all got kids and this, that and the other, but you had to get up early this morning to come and sing your new single for us.
That's it.
It's just talk me through the whole Led Zeppelin connection, because that sounds like an extraordinary story.
Oh boy, well apparently they paid our bill, which is quite nice. So
well, apparently, or did they?
Well, I mean,
We haven't paid it yet.
no, that's it. Because we were rehearsing in the same spot they rehearsed, and went to go pay, and you know the boys said it's done, and that's quite nice actually. A bit more money before Christmas.
And I understand that Rob Plant turned around and said, "I heard them next door. They sounded great. Who are they? Let me pay their bill."
Well, we were busy. I was busy rehearsing at the time, so I never heard that. But I mean, I would take that compliment from Mr. Plant any day.
Mr. Plant.
Mr. Plant.
Well.
Mr. Plant.
We
you know,
doff our cap.
So I tell you what, I've got the albums. I got them from my sister, and they're fantastic.
That's fantastic, though, isn't it? And obviously, from your point of view, Patrick, here you are. The band's going really well. You've been together about 4 years now.
In this lineup, yeah, 4 years, about 4.5 years.
So there's been some changes here and there.
Yeah, just the odd little tweak here and there, you know.
But you've done tons of stuff in the States as well, which I assume is how Owen Wilson's come to be a sort of a friend of the band.
Well, it's the power of MySpace. We just seem to, I mean, we're based in London, but America seemed to really embrace the music, and you know, our MySpace page is inundated with people from West Coast, East Coast, in the middle, down south, up north, and so much so that we've been able to go over to the States and do a couple of sellout gigs. You know, we haven't had a record out in America yet.
How mad is that, going to the States and doing a sellout gig with no record out?
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
It's fantastic. And we had kids, you know, the kids who couldn't get into the gig waited outside the gig for our autograph and everything for 3 hours in the cold. It's, you know, that's a long time to wait outside, you know.
That's commitment.
But they're very dedicated, and we get back to pretty much everybody on our MySpace page, which is hard to do. But we do send a lot of personal messages, and I like the immediacy of that.
That's important, and obviously it's the music that they love, and we're going to hear some of that music right now. Thank you very much for coming in, guys. This is their new single, performing it for us. Help Me Make It. It's out on the 28th of January in shops to buy, but you can download it right now. Just get on the internet and you can find it. I'm sure you can get it from your MySpace page as well, can't you? Yeah. Guys, thank you very much. Take it away. This is Van Tramp.
Oh, brother, won't you pray for me for all that lies ahead? Keep me from the wrongs I'm bound to right. And sister, you will stay with me for all the things you said, as the lights go down and I kiss the world goodnight. And here I'm standing high above above the water. A fallen angel stares into my eyes. Late night bars and big old cars crash inside my head. Shooting stars and twisted stripes collide. Help me make it through the night. Cause was it mediocrity that scared me half away? Or was it just the path life's meant to take? So friend, please have a drink on me for all that's come my way. As the lights go down and I kiss the world goodnight. And here I'm standing high above the water. A fallen angel stares into my eyes. Late night bars and big old cars crash inside my head. Shooting stars and twisted stripes collide. Ooh, help me make it through the night. Shooting stars and twisted stripes collide. Late night bars and big old cars crash inside my head. I said they crash inside my head. Shooting stars and twisted stripes collide. Ooh, help me make it through the night. Yeah, help me make it through the night.
There you go, fantastic. That was fantastic. You're in a bit of a daze, aren't you?
Like days, yeah. Amazing.
Rock stars in the studio. Van Tramp, their
Just
single.
like their chord changes.
Their chords?
Chord changes, not their chords.
Oh, right.
It's all about corduroy, Ben.
No, it's
just
not
because
all
you're
about
married
corduroy.
with 2 kids.
Guys, thank you very much for coming in. You can get their single, it's out. You can get it on the web now, and it's out on the 28th of January if you want to go and buy it old-fashioned way in the shops. There you go. Help me make it. What a
The
great tune.
old-fashioned way.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yeah, it is now. OK, cold out there today. Let's get the full picture from Claire.
Hello there. Well, snow across many parts of the country today, particularly, I'd say, across eastern and central parts of Scotland, down towards northeast England, where there could be snow, I'd say up to around 36 hours worth. Now, we do have a live shot for you this morning in Durham. Take a look at this. And that's the cathedral. They've seen snow off and on for the last, I'd say, 3 or 4 hours, and it will continue right the way through the morning into the afternoon. As you can see, the skies above, I'm seeing a little bit of blue sky there, and that really is the state of showers. As you can see, the snow has been settling, and it will continue to do so. Let's have a look and see what's happening across the country. A rash of showers wherever you are today along that eastern side, coming in from the north. See elsewhere, though, it's clear and it's dry. You see some sunshine through the day in area. Cloud and rain moves up, turning to snow on its northern edge, and that means most of you seeing a light dusting in the south. Wrap up warm. It's going to feel more like -10 than 2 degrees Celsius. You two.
Thank you very much, Claire. OK, the time's just gone 9 o'clock, so we're going to get a news update now. Priya's at the news desk.
Thank you, Ben. Good morning. Drivers are being advised to prepare for hazardous conditions this morning, with snow and freezing temperatures forecast for much of the country. The Highways Agency is preparing a fleet of gritters to treat motorways and A roads. Well, Matt Arnold is at a gritting depot in Leicestershire. Good morning, Matt.
Good morning, Priya. Certainly very, very nippy here at Leicester Forest East, where we've been at the gritting depot all morning. And as you can see, no better indication of the forecast of snow than when you see these things bolted onto the front of the gritters. They're all ready for it here, and that's because the Met Office are forecasting snowfall really potentially all over the country, certainly worst if you're in Scotland or the extreme north of England, a 60% chance of being affected by snow there. For the rest of the country, well, there's essentially a split using the M1 as the spine of Britain. On the east side of the country, you've got a 40% chance of having some snowfall today, and roughly put on the west side of the country, it's reduced to a 20% chance. Now, we've been here at Leicester Forest East all morning. They've got 3 gritters out here, but around the immediate area, 24 covering Staffordshire, Warwickshire and Leicestershire. Nationally, the picture is 500 gritters are available to the Highways Agency. They're out doing their thing with 11.25 tonnes of salt on each one. Apparently, if you get behind one on a 3-lane motorway, probably best to get past it because it's able to do a 50-mile stretch with 1 load of salt. They've done a good job round here. I'm about to put their handiwork to the test with a drive down the M1 to London. So hats off to the gritting teams all over the country. Priya.
Indeed, have fun. Thanks, Matt. In Kenya, water cannon have been used on protesters gathering at a banned opposition rally in the capital, Nairobi. There are concerns that the violence there could escalate. The Foreign Office has warned against all non-essential travel to the country. Sue Jameson has sent this report from Nairobi.
This has been described to me as make or break day. There are up to 1 million supporters of the opposition leader Raila Odinga who are massing about 2 or 3 kilometres in that direction. They're hoping to come into the city to a park where they're going to hold a protest rally. Now, I've seen this morning hundreds of armed police and these GSUs, General Service Units, waiting for them all down the main road, but also back there in the Kibera area, which is one of the strongholds of Odinga. Again, you have mass forces there. Already they have used a water cannon on protesters today to try and keep them away. Tear gas has been used as well. And just to give you an idea of perhaps some of the desperation that ordinary Kenyans are feeling with the potential clashes, both the newspapers this morning have this headline, "Save Our Beloved Country," and they're urging both the president and also the opposition leader to come together to start talking so that this doesn't descend into total chaos. Meanwhile, for the 7,000 British people living here, the Foreign Office has updated its advice, saying to stay away from any of these rallies, to stay indoors and no non-essential travel. Back to you.
Sue Jameson in Nairobi. The race for the White House begins today in the American state of Iowa. Voters there will decide which candidates from the Republican and Democratic parties they want to run for US president. The Democrats, with either Hillary Clinton at the helm or Senator Barack Obama, are expected to win the election, which takes place in November this year. The missing data scandal may be much worse than the government's admitting, according to a group of MPs. A report by the Commons Justice Committee warns that the massive security breach at Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs wasn't an isolated case, and it's calling for government departments to be held criminally responsible for data protection breaches. Christmas overspending will lead to record levels of debt this year. Accountants predict that around 120,000 people will be declared insolvent this year after splashing out over the festive season. Figures show that many shoppers were tempted by discounts online and on the high streets. Meanwhile, the record price of oil, now trading at $100 a barrel, means that UK motorists face the highest ever prices at the pump. Filling a typical 50-litre tank now costs £7.36 more than a year ago. That's according to the AA. It's 6 minutes past 9. Back to Ben.
Thanks, Priya. Now then, the north-east of England was one of the first areas of the country to see snow this morning. Durham has already had a fair old dusting. Rachel Harrison's at the Cathedral Forest this morning. There you go, looking gorgeous this morning, Rachel.
Me or the scenery behind me?
The picture looks gorgeous.
Well, the castle looks nice all year round, but I think it looks particularly special today. I drove up from Manchester at around 2:30 this morning, and on my way round about the Leeds market, we started getting some very small flurries of snow, and it's been pretty much on and off all morning. And there's about 0.5 centimetre on the ground at the moment, but I can tell you there will be more snow under the way. Just take a look at the clouds behind me, nice and thick, and the snow's just coming down gently again now. But I have a warning for anyone who lives in the area this morning, because at around 6 o'clock it was actually snowing hailstones. So it's incredibly slippy underfoot, and the people who've been turning up at the university buildings have literally slid through the doorways, so much so they've had to have gritters to come and put salt on the pavements to make sure it's okay. And if you're a child sitting at home, I'm afraid there's not quite enough snow yet to build a snowman, because my cameraman tried earlier and it was too feeble to show you. But we're hoping that by this afternoon there's proper snowman building time, fun to have, and also the sledging. So prime time at around 3 o'clock this afternoon.
Fantastic. It's good to know that our cameramen and our correspondents are doing the things that are important, like trying to build snowmen, so the nation find out first. Yeah.
We did, but as I say, it was about this high. It was so small, it was too pitiful, but we tried.
OK, well, let us know how you get on. Thanks so much, Rachel.
Gorgeous there, but the travel chaos does continue for thousands of people across Britain again today. Not just the weather, overrunning engineering work on the railways has left many commuters facing long delays yesterday, and they could go on today. And of course, we've just been told about huge hikes in train and ticket prices. So this morning, delays are going to be a very bitter pill to swallow. Well, Jackie Cabler is in Birmingham for us. Good morning, Jackie. Bring us up to speed on what's happening there.
Well, it's pretty grim, Kate, I'm afraid. Virgin Trains have advised their passengers not to even attempt to travel on their trains today because they're so badly affected. They've described it as a fiasco, and it's all, of course, due to this engineering work on the West Coast main line, which is overrun now for the 4th consecutive day, and that's closed a huge section of line between Coventry, Northampton and Milton Keynes, and that's had huge knock-on effects all around the country. Passengers are having to be bussed to their destinations. You can see here outside Birmingham International, there's coaches and poor people having to queue up in the freezing cold here. It's well below zero to get on those buses, so it really isn't much fun at all. People reported nightmare journeys yesterday, delays of 2, 3, 4 hours, having to get on buses, taking impossible lengths of time to get to their destinations. And we decided to send poor old Cordelia Kretschmar out on a journey to see just how she got on.
Well, according to the website, the trains from Euston to Birmingham are running today. They involve no changes and they take an hour and 16 minutes. But according to the board, that's clearly not the case. So it's 4:40 now. Let's see how long it takes. Well, so far so good. 4:57, the train set off on time. Well, we've been on the train for an hour now. Things just started to go wrong. We're at Northampton. We've got to get off the train and onto a bus.
I've just come from Brussels with my wife, and to get to Euston is fine, and then to have this ridiculous mess up is just utterly unacceptable.
It's messed us up, really. We was hoping to have a nice meal and finish our holiday, but it spoilt the holiday, really.
I actually booked first class ticket 3 days ago so I could come in comfort, and it was horrendous all the way down.
Well, we're at Birmingham International now. It's 7:10. That means it's taken nearly twice as long as it should have to get here, and most of these people have got to get on another train now to finish their journey.
Well, that was Cordelia's journey yesterday, and it looks like there'll be similar journeys for thousands of people around the country today, with lots of buses replacing trains. The rail regulator has launched an investigation into this. Network Rail could face a hefty fine, not only for the problems on this line, but also because of Liverpool Street Station in London being closed entirely yesterday and still being partially closed today, again due to engineering works which have overrun. It's also going to be investigated in the House of Commons when they all come back from their Christmas break next Monday. The Labour MP Louise Elman has said she wants a full explanation and an apology for the thousands of people around the country who've been so terribly inconvenienced by this. Meanwhile, Network Rail are refusing to comment at the moment on reports that it could be as late as next Monday before things get sorted out. So we could have lots more reports like this coming from us correspondents over the next few days, Kate.
OK, thank you very much indeed. It's difficult, isn't it?
It's not great at all.
Well, lots of calls people saying the train cost is unbearable, but also saying, please remember there are a lot of people on the ground, at grassroots level, working very hard to make
doing the best they can to try and get it all working. And hopefully, by tomorrow, things will be up and running.
5 o'clock, he said, didn't he?
That's exactly what he said. 5 o'clock tomorrow morning, we'll be on to him. Network Rail. Now then, the weather's so grim, we're all going to be staying in and watching the telly tonight. And Christopher Biggins has been perusing what's on offer. He's
perusing? Not a word you hear often enough.
But it's the only thing that Biggins does it better than anybody I know.
He's a good
Have you ever seen him peruse?
He's a heck of a peruser.
Yeah, that's how he learnt his trade, perusing the streets.
Perusing or cruising, one or the other.
He's going to be here. Look, Biggins' Essential Viewing is coming up next.
Yes, but the start of a new offer means it gets us all thinking about changing our life, making changes. Is your job making you miserable? Is that what you're thinking this morning? Maybe GMTV can help.
OK, so it's the new year. Do you want a new career?
Well, why not take part in GMTV's 2008 Dream Job Survey? Are you looking for a pay rise or are desperate to leave your job? Do you want to be a teacher, police officer, vet, footballer, or even a top soap star? Whatever your ambition, we want to hear about it. So, log on to gm.tv and help us help you to a new career in 2008.
I know we're a little late because Christmas has passed, but how about this for a beautiful wintry scene? This is Durham Cathedral. Oh, we're not going to that.
I'm sure we were going to do that a little bit later on.
I'm so sorry. I thought we were going to look at it now. Yeah, how about this for a beautiful wintry scene?
I know
it's my
she's
dandruff.
a little bit slow, but it's been a long morning.
It's been a long morning.
So
Sorry.
come to Durham Cathedral.
Christopher Biggins is here now. I'm going to shut up.
It's nothing like rehearsing something, is it?
I didn't know that, you see.
It's-
Was I not listening?
I didn't know
Biggins,
what's
how
going
do you
on.
cope?
I didn't know what's going on.
How do you cope?
How do I cope, honestly? She's getting nearer and nearer, too.
I know. I'm moving further away from Ben, that's what it is.
Yeah, that's because I'm pushing you away. Now, look, the soaps.
Yes.
There's no more soaps on the weekend in ITV.
No, I think ITV have seen the light, so to speak, and they're going to make it a free zone from soaps, which I think is quite a good idea, actually. Let the soaps be Monday to Friday and give the weekends to drama, entertainment, all sorts of goodies. You know, I think it'll work.
So that means the Emmerdale and the Corrie episodes
Yes, I think
are now going to
Emmerdale's
move.
going to go to Tuesday. I think they're going to do an hour's version, and then I think that Corrie will move as well, and I think it will be good. I think it'll be very good.
Although, I mean, as we were talking about this earlier, people like their soaps where they know their soaps are going to be. So.
Yeah, but
Also,
they'll
some
soon
people
get
don't have
used
time
to
to
it.
watch it all during the week, do they? So you want to catch up at weekends.
I suppose, but won't they? I don't know. I mean, I think personally it's a good idea. I think it's nice because I think it's good
You don't
to
have to
bring
agree
back.
with me, by the way, Christopher, because every time I say something, you go, yes, I guess so, like you're slightly scared of me.
I am very
Okay.
scared of you, though.
Are you?
Yeah, because that letter you sent me last week.
Ah, the one in green crayon. You got it then. Brilliant.
Oh, that was green crayon, was it?
No, Emmerdale's on tonight, though, at 7 o'clock.
Yes, Emmerdale. I love Emmerdale, and I think it's a great. I used to get into Emmerdale because it was always on just before I was going on in pantomime, so I would look at it in the dressing room before I got on, and it's great. And are we going to show a clip of that? Or
Yeah.
not?
Yeah, let's have a
We
look.
are. That's good. So we've got where are we? Emmerdale. This is Lexi storming in on meal between Chaz and Ross.
Ooh.
Oh, it's a bit of an atmosphere going on here.
Well, this all looks very cosy. Step up from worming tablets, anyway.
I'm really sorry, mate. I should have told you.
Yeah, you should. I mean, him, he's just an idiot man. I expect it of him.
I never made you any promises, either of you.
Oh, either of us? Yeah. He's been having his cake and eating it.
Oh, you come storming in here, mouthing off at me.
You lied to me.
You'd have done the same. You are doing the same.
Yes, but I'm not the one sitting here in the middle of the day, half sloshed, flipping them out.
Bit harsh.
Very harsh. That's Emmerdale now. Very harsh.
Now, BBC Two, we don't often peruse BBC Two, there's that word again, do we, for our pick of the day. So what have you got for us for that?
Well, this is Lead Balloon, which is Jack Dee's series. Do you know Jack? Has he
Yes.
been- yeah, he's
Well,
such
I
a...
don't know him personally. I'm only
he's-
normal. I'm not like you. I'm not all showbiz.
He's such a nice man, and this is sadly the last of the series.
Oh, really?
So it's quite a funny episode, this though, because he thinks that there's a phone call. He's missed a phone call from Hollywood, which is going to change his life, and of course the phone call isn't for him. So the clip that we're going to show now is him having a go at his au pair. To tell her why he's, missed she's not told him about the telephone call.
The wrong message.
I can't speak.
I know what you mean. Miscommunication. We get it a lot round here.
Yes.
Let's have a look.
Did he leave a number?
No, I'm sorry.
Why didn't you get the number? You should always get the number.
It was bad line. He was telephoning from Los Angeles.
LA?
Yes, from studio, from movie studio.
What was his name?
He did not say.
Well, you should have asked him.
He put phone down.
Relax, he'll call back.
If he telephone calls again, you want to speak with him?
Oh, no. Tell him to stick his movie. Of course I want to speak to him.
Okay.
I love
Brilliant.
such a great series.
Yes, and he is brilliant.
He's
in
very
it,
funny.
That wonderful deadpan thing he has, and I really like him. I think he's a very good comic.
Very good. OK, hairy bikers.
Well, the hairy bikers, of course, who've been all over the world showing us how to cook in the most obscure places, have taken us to a very obscure place in this particular episode, to the north of England.
OK.
And they're going to show us how pies
Does
are
anyone
made.
live there anymore?
Oh, now come along.
I'm joking!
I do
The way
apologise.
You said it.
To the north of England. I'm terribly sorry. I was born there.
half northern now.
Yeah, but
Husband
half. I'm, that's not really good enough.
See,
Anyway,
get me into trouble because everyone will think that I really meant that now.
let's go to Mrs. Green, who's crying at the moment at the remark you've made. Mrs. Green's pie shop, and see how they.
Very good.
There you go. BBC 2, 8 o'clock. The Hairy Bikers. Christopher, thank you very much. We'll see you again tomorrow.
Pleasure. Very, very good to see you both.
Now, look, Kate teased this a while ago. We're going to have a quick look, I think, at the snow that fell this morning, just about an hour ago. This is in
Very
Durham.
quickly, can we see Durham Cathedral? Look at that.
Beautiful.
Absolutely
Oh, that's
beautiful.
not real snow.
What do you mean
Look
that's not real snow?
gorgeous.
That's snow.
That's not. It's beautiful.
We'll have more.
See you
of this.
tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Gorgeous.
Bye.